Evening. Welcome to West Hollywood City Council meeting. Before we call the meeting to order, I would like to read the city's land acknowledgement. The West Hollywood City Council acknowledges that the land on which we gather, and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood, is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tongva and the Gabrielino Quiche peoples. I'm calling the October 20th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. And we are without a student from West Hollywood Elementary School tonight to lead us in the pledge, so I will ask that we rise, if you are able, and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. City Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Councilmember Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Hang.
Here.
Councilmember Meister.
Here.
Vice Mayor Heilman.
Here.
Mayor Byers.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll get a report of the closed session agenda next. City Attorney, will you please provide us with a report?
Yes, good evening. The City Council convened a closed session meeting this evening beginning at 4:30 p.m. The Council discussed the one item of business on the posted agenda, took no reportable action, and concluded at 5:35 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. First, are there any changes from staff on tonight's agenda?
No, Mayor, there are no changes from staff this evening.
Okay, I'll look to my colleagues on council for any changes. I'm going to start over here on Councilmember Meister.
Yes, moving to consent E2, public-private partnership
The broadband?
with the broadband.
I have
Yes.
questions for staff.
Okay. F2, addressing unpermitted and unlicensed sidewalk vendors.
I
No,
have questions.
I'd like to keep that one.
F4, reconceptualization and restoration of a music festival on the Sunset Strip.
No.
Okay. F6, approval of the dates for the election and installation of the mayor and vice mayor.
The easiest one.
Well, that will be the only one then.
Vice Mayor?
How about moving F5 to consent?
What is that?
Your item.
Oh, my item. Yeah, that would be good.
You can keep it.
I would like to keep it because I think it relates
Yep.
to some dialogue that we're going to have later on.
Mayor, I'd
Yep.
also like to request that we table item F3. This is my item on tall walls.
Okay.
We received a number of comments and input, and I think it's wise for us to hold that until we have addressed a number of the concerns. So I'm going to ask that we hold that.
Thank you. What about item E1, the update to the policy? Concerns
Flag policy.
update to the flag policy? You want to, okay, we'll leave that one. Okay, I think that, okay.
E5? E5, the advisory board pilot program frequency.
Lots of questions.
Great. Buckle up, kids. Here we go.
All right. So we can move on from that. We have a motion to approve the agenda as it stands with item F3 being tabled, F6 being moved to consent. Great.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We'll move to Levine Act disclosures. Can we do a quick review of the agenda and report any disclosures that we may have per the Levine Act? None?
Nope.
Okay. Then we'll move to adjournment motions this evening. Do any of my colleagues have adjournment motions? I'll look to Councilmember Meister first.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Carlton Cronin, a longtime resident and chronicler of our city's evolution who passed away just recently. Through his insightful writings, Carlton captured the essence of West Hollywood's transformation, offering both residents and visitors a window into our shared history. His work not only documented events, but also celebrated the vibrant tapestry of cultures, personalities, and stories that define our community. Carlton raised his family here in West Hollywood, and he spent much of his adult life working as a salesman. He also taught CERT classes for the community years ago, which is where I first met him. He was known for his kindness, generosity, and was a familiar presence at local events, always eager to engage with neighbors. As we reflect on his numerous and valuable contributions, let us honor Carlton's legacy by continuing to foster the sense of community and shared history that he so deeply valued. Our thoughts are with Toby, his wife, his sons, his family, friends, and all who had the privilege of knowing him. I have one more adjournment. Jeff Buck, who also recently passed away. Jeff was a longtime resident and previously served on the city's Heritage Tree Committee. He was also an active member of the West Hollywood Tree Preservation Society, serving as a former president. Jeff will be remembered as someone who generously shared his time and expertise to protect and enhance West Hollywood's green spaces. His commitment and his contributions leave a lasting legacy in our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Mayor, I would request that we adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of Vince Wong. Vince passed away peacefully at his home on October 5th, just a month shy of his 43rd birthday. He earned his BS degree in Public Policy and Management in 2003 from USC. He previously served as president of Lambda and was a passionate advocate for the community and inclusion. Vince worked hard, he played hard, he was intense, he served on several advocacy boards and committees throughout his career. He's survived by his parents and by his sister, his brother-in-law, Dr. Brian Huang, and their three children, Kylie, Ethan, and Caden, whom he adored and loved like his own. Vince's life was cut way too short. We extend our condolences to all who knew him and loved him and honor his legacy tonight.
Thank you. Are there others? Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. First, I'm going to adjourn memory of Diane Keaton, actress and icon. Many of us knew her works very well. And the First Wives Club was probably my first gay awakening as a gay man, so I will miss her very much. She was a very involved resident in Los Angeles in a number of causes. Additionally, I would like to adjourn in memory of Dominic Gelati, a Marine Corps veteran businessman, passed away on September 12, 2025. Dominic is survived by his wife, Wilma, and his three children, Dave, Cheryl, and Stephen. Dominic lived a rich life serving our country in the Marines and as an allied craft trade pressman and printer. He loved donuts and coffee, and only after marrying Wilma did he learn to eat rice and vegetables and healthy food cooked by her. Always with a smile on his face, he led by example and worked hard to provide for his family. Dominic was Italian and brought that fire to everything that he did. He will be missed by all, and his mark on this world will forever be remembered by his friends and family. Additionally, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Kevin Seidel, a resident of Mediterranean Village, 8 years living in West Hollywood, formerly of Chicago. He worked as a barista for several years at the Starbucks in the corner of Santa Monica and Robertson, and was an avid tennis player, spending weekends with friends at the WeHo Park and bowled in several leagues in the Out Loud Sports and Studio Bowling Leagues. He loved being a cat dad to his girls, Venus and Serena, and cheering on his favorite tennis player. His go-to travel destinations included Puerto Vallarta, Provincetown, and New York. Sounds like a typical West Hollywood resident to me. With his daughter, Dr. Rachel Westbay, and his two grandsons, Bo and Luke, who he gushed about at every chance he got as a proud father and grandfather indeed. In his professional life, Kevin was an English and law teacher, coached tennis and swimming, dean of discipline and vice principal, educating thousands of students, with one former student sharing, "He was the toughest but the best. He made learning fun." Kevin gave back arduously to the community through his volunteer work with local nonprofit Handle with Care, providing assistance to the unhoused, and continually championed their efforts by recruiting new members to join the organization. When not on the tennis courts in the bowling alley, he could be found with his friends at Gym Bar, sharing the latest of his daughter's successes, the newest things his growing grandsons accomplished, and simply enjoying the retired life. He was the epitome of what community means in West Hollywood. On Friday, he passed away at his home at the age of 74 after a very brief battle with cancer and was surrounded by his family and friends. His family and friends loved him, and his memory will live on through all of them, and I will miss him seeing him every time I walked into Gym Bar for a drink with friends. He always greeted everyone with a smile.
Thank you all. We'll move forward with our presentations this evening. First, we are proud to be welcomed by our Assembly Member, Rick Chavez-Zabur, to provide us with a legislative update to the Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Byers, members of the Council. Thank you for having me tonight. I want to especially thank Assemblymember Hang for inviting me tonight. It's been a couple of years since I was here. Last year, my mom was ill and I was ill, and so we missed a year, so it's really great to be back. And I also want to thank members of the community for coming out to the 2025 Community Excellence Awards, where we were able to honor Councilmember Meister with the Distinguished Service in Government Award, which we extend to local government officials in my district who are completing their years of service. Thank you, Councilmember Meister, for your service. And we also recognize Mayor Pro Tem Heilman with the Lifetime Achievement Award, although Vice Mayor Heilman, I think, bristled a little bit about that lifetime. You have done a lifetime of work. And, you know, one of the things that we recognize is that not only are you one of the longest serving members of the City Council, but you're the nation's longest serving openly gay elected officials. And many of the things that we've accomplished in the LGBTQ civil rights arena and for HIV service were things that started right here in West Hollywood under your leadership, and so we were very proud to recognize you. So with that, let's get to why I'm here tonight. This past year was a very difficult year with the state budget. We were facing billions of dollars of budget deficits primarily because of the Trump administration. Both cuts in what we should have anticipated being coming to the state anyway, and then because of the chaos his tariff and economic policies are causing, the amounts that we're projecting to come in through the economic output of the country and of the state are in significant decline. I'm proud to say that we were able to preserve some of the key social service and social safety net programs. I in particular fought for more than $30 million that was proposed to be cut in the governor's initial budget in the health equity funding that would have funded will continue to fund nearly 70 organizations, 1/3 of which are LGBTQ plus led. That was originally going to be cut from the budget. We fought very hard with Equality California's support and with the LGBT caucus's support, and we were able to keep that in the budget. We also fought for an additional $15 million so that health insurance companies can continue providing gender-affirming care benefits in the state of California. That would have been a cut in the kind of benefits that we had, and we were able to preserve that for an additional year. And then, of course, help to secure funding for UCLA Center for Reproductive Health and Policy to sort of give them some additional breathing room to sort of get their programs up and running. Beyond that, we were successful in preserving IHSS funding, in-home supportive services for long-term care, continuing Prop 56 supplemental payments supporting Planned Parenthood and other women's health providers, increasing state funding for affordable housing, preserving $50 million in low-income housing tax credits, and $120 million in the multifamily housing program, both key Assembly priorities. We rejected cuts to our UC and CSU systems, and we increased funding for TK through 12 education. Unfortunately, with President Trump continuing to target California, it looks like we're going to have another tough year ahead, and so we'll be looking to you to help us identify things that may be cut that you know that our residents in West Hollywood depend on, and really appreciate the city's partnership and all of your partnership in helping identify those things. You know, when you've got a budget that's this big, we don't get like a list of everything that's in the budget. What we get from the governor is a list of things that are going to be cut, and so we don't really know. And some of those things are just very top line things. So sometimes you don't have a good sense of what that really means when you've got a line item with a cut. There can be a lot of stuff embedded in that. So anyway, we look forward to sort of continuing that partnership as we move to the budget process for next year. I also, getting to legislation, This past year, I and Senator Allen took on the critical fight for California's economic future, expanding and strengthening the film and tax credit program to keep Hollywood here in California. The good news is with the support of the City of West Hollywood and so many others, we did it. For those of you who are not in the industry, you may not realize the extent to which production is down in our state. We face an epidemic of unemployment and underemployment in the industry. One of the estimates was that in the entertainment industry, we were facing 50% levels of unemployment. We were facing 25% levels of unemployment during the Great Depression, so it just shows you how bad off we were. The good news, and that, the big reason for that was because other states like Georgia and New York and countries like Canada and the UK have adopted tax credit and incentive programs that dwarf California's. They see enormous benefits in this industry that provides our workers and our small businesses, and unfortunately they've been successful in luring away these jobs. That's why expanding the program and reforming it so that we change the rules was something that was so important. Alongside a coalition of legislators, I want to say I'm really proud that the Los Angeles delegation really pulled together this time, because we knew that it was going to be a heavy lift to expand the program and modify it, and we were successful in expanding the program from 330 to 750 million. And since the program was adopted, 22 new productions have been approved through the program. They're already filming now. I was just on a set last week for a new 30-minute scripted program that's in production right now. So you can already sort of feel that coming back, and that's due to that program, and that was one of my top priorities this year. One of my other major legislative priorities was AB 715, a bill to combat anti-Semitism in our K-12 schools. Reports of anti-Semitic content and incidents in our school have reached alarming proportions across the state. In one instance, a child was repeatedly taunted by students, calling her the Jew and the murderer. In another school district, they intentionally scheduled district task force during a major Jewish holiday so the task force could discuss and approve material that they knew the Jewish community had raised concerns about, and they wanted to do it without the participation and input from the Jewish community. In another school district, students were told by their teacher that the school was closed on a Jewish holiday because there are too many Jews. I just want to be clear, the overwhelming majority of teachers in our school districts are hardworking public servants and professionals, and are inclusive and incredible public servants. But incidents of hate and bigotry in our schools always need to be addressed, and AB 715 will address those rising levels of anti-Semitism and ensure that classrooms are safe and supportive spaces in a number of ways. First, it will strengthen laws prohibiting discrimination in instruction, instructional materials, and professional development materials. Second, it will create an Office of Civil Rights, which includes an anti-Semitism prevention coordinator to develop guidance and education to better identify and combat anti-Semitism. The companion bill will also create non-discrimination prevention coordinators for racial and ethnic communities, the LGBTQ communities, based on gender and based on religion as well. So the outgrowth of this bill is one that will create much broader protections against discrimination for all communities that are protected under Section 220 of the Education Code. Turning to climate change, as you're aware, one of my key priorities has been addressing climate change since I've been in the legislature. That's why I'm proud to share that Governor Newsom signed AB 39, the Local Electrification Planning Act, a bill that empowers local governments to lead in building California's energy future. California has set ambitious climate goals, transitioning to electric vehicles on our roads and electric appliances and equipment in our home and businesses. But to reach those goals, we need our cities and counties to be full partners in planning how that transition is going to happen and to make sure no one is left behind. So AB 39 requires cities and counties with populations of 75,000 or more to develop local plans to meet their electrification and decarbonization needs. These plans must prioritize disadvantaged communities, low-income households, and small businesses, ensuring that investments in clean energy are equitable and benefit everyone. I'm really proud that the City of West Hollywood, even though we had to negotiate the city out of the bill, you're already well on your way to complying with it. You were one of the examples that we used many times about the fact that this is something that cities can do because a city as small as West Hollywood was already doing it. Another key bill this year on the housing front was AB 748, the Streamlining Student Housing. This was a bill that was sponsored by Santa Monica College, and it's turned out almost all of the community colleges across the state. Governor Newsom signs AB 648, and this is a bill that helps combat housing insecurity and homelessness among community college students, staff, and faculty. One of the surprising statistics that I didn't really understand until Santa Monica College brought me to this bill was that nearly 60% of community college students face housing insecurity while they're in school, and about 1 in 4 have experienced homelessness while they're in community college. That is an astoundingly high number. AB 648 gives community colleges the flexibility to build student housing and staff housing on land that they already own or lease near campus, cutting red tape while still protecting environmental and planning standards. And this is a right that basically the University of California and the Cal State systems already hold. Next bill, AB 1084, name and gender marker changes. One of my key priorities is protecting the LGBTQ civil rights in healthcare. That's why I'm proud that Governor Newsom signed AB 1184, my bill to protect transgender and non-binary people by speeding up the process for obtaining gender marker documents. It used to be that it took a minimum of 6 weeks to get documents. Now the new bill requires that agencies act more quickly and process these with a maximum of 6 weeks. So that will speed up getting documents for and this was really inspired by parents who came to me because they were trying to plan for what they would do if they had to sort of leave the country to get health care for their children, for their transgender children. And so they are very anxious about their ability to get passport documents, about having the documents they need in order to travel to get the medical care. I know you all were interested in AB 309, the HIV and Hepatitis Prevention Act. Governor Newsom also signed that. Which is a bill to prevent the spread of HIV and viral hepatitis by preserving access to sterile syringes. This was a law that was already in place, but which was sunsetting. And we were able to sort of get that extended. We've shown that this is an effective program to prevent HIV transition. And then the final bill I'll talk about is a bill that's close to, I think, many of your hearts, especially the heart of the city of West Hollywood, which is such it's been such a leader at assuring that the members of our family who we are guardians of are cared for and protected, is AB 478, the FOUND Act. How many of you know many of you know my district director, Robert Oliver, and well, he and my chief of staff, Tommy, and pretty much our entire office have been after me for a number of years to work on a bill related to pet safety. Well, we finally did it. The FOUND Act, which stands for Friends of Oreo Uniting During Disasters, was inspired by Oreo, a Pomeranian who went missing during the Palisades fire and somehow survived 5 days in the debris before being reunited with his owner. The bill makes sure that pets are accounted for during emergencies by requiring cities and counties to develop clear procedures to support pet owners during evacuations. Legally, animals may be considered property, but for most of us, we think of them as members of our family and will do anything to save them. Of course, I don't need to convince anyone here of that. West Hollywood changed its municipal code way back in 2001 to refer to people with pets as guardians, not owners. And I'm happy that Governor Newsom signed that. So in closing, I'd like to thank you all again for inviting me here to speak today and give you an update. During my first term, we were able to work together on AB 1620, a bill that was inspired and sponsored by the City of West Hollywood that allowed tenants with permanent physical disabilities to relocate to accessible units without losing rent protections, a simple but life-changing solution to help people stay in their homes. We also secured over $1 million in state funding to support the restoration of the log cabin building, together with the help of Senator Allen. And this year, we're looking forward to discussions with you to explore the possibility of expanding the speed safety camera pilot program to West Hollywood. That's something we're going to have to explore the viability on. I'm very interested in working with you on that, and so look forward to those discussions. And as we start shaping our bill package for next year, look forward to talking to many of you. If you have other ideas, open to it. And for those that are watching on live stream today, please contact my office if you've got good bill ideas on things you think that I should be working on. So with that, I just want to thank you all.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate you coming, taking the time to share these updates with us. Please consider this a standing invitation at the start or at the end of any legislative session. I think we certainly know as a community that our city's engagement in the legislative process, as you've said, is very outsized, and we really appreciate you helping make sure that our community as a whole can be a part of this. So thank you so much. And thank you to Joshua, who does a tremendous job serving our community as field office. Yes, thank you so much. Any questions? Okay. We'll move on to our next presentation of the evening. We have Councilmember Erickson to present his certificate.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. At this time, I would love to present a certificate to an incredible business right here in West Hollywood. If you haven't had the opportunity to visit Somni or are able to, I highly encourage you to do so. Under the visionary leadership of Chef Aitor Zabala, originally from Barcelona, and with over 27 years of experience, Somni has achieved the prestigious distinction of being West Hollywood's first 3 Michelin-starred restaurant. They also kind of serve people in Los Angeles, but for right now, you're ours. Just 6 months after Chef resurrected his ambitious Spanish tasting menu and restaurant in West Hollywood, he brought this extraordinary culinary experience to life. The previous iteration of Somni, located inside the SLS, Beverly Hills, earned 2 Michelin stars, but closed in August 2020 amid the pandemic. This historic 3-star recognition marks the first time a restaurant in Los Angeles has received 3 stars since the Michelin Guide arrived in the city in 2008. Chef's journey spans the globe, from the legendary E. Bouli to leadership roles at Think Food and now the creation of Somni 2.0. The dining experience reflects Chef's unwavering dedication to creativity, innovation, and culinary excellence. Somni's commitment to exceptional dining experiences has not only elevated West Hollywood's local restaurant scene, but also has inspired chefs, food lovers, and the wider culinary community. This recognition celebrates artistry, passion, and perseverance that make Somni a true gem in our city. And tonight, we are honored to be joined by the one, the only, Chef Aitor Zabala. At this time, I would like to invite him up to come up to the dais, accept this certificate, and say a few words as well. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. So it's a really honor to be here tonight. So I want to thank you, the City of West Hollywood, for this recognition from Somni and our team members. Earning 3 Michelin stars for us is a big dream that takes years for work and sacrifice and the passion from many, many people. I'm very proud of my team and past of the present to give this everything every day to make something special happen. Somni was born in this city, and I am grateful to be part of this place that celebrated creativity and diversity. So values that they are essentially with what we do. We are proud to represent West Hollywood in the culinary world, and we'll keep pushing to make this city known for excellence, innovation, and hospitality. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move to public comment. The City Council values your comments. However, pursuant to the Brown Act, the Council cannot take action on items not listed on tonight's posted agenda. The public comment period is limited to 20 minutes, with 2 minutes allotted for each speaker. This public comment period is to address City Council on consent calendar items, other agenda items, if the member of the public cannot be present at the time the item is considered, or items of general interest within the jurisdiction of the City Council. Another period is also reserved for general comment later in the meeting for those that could not be heard at this time. Public hearing testimony will only be taken at the time of the hearing. City Clerk, how many speakers do we have in chambers and in Zoom?
We have 14 individuals in chambers.
None in Zoom.
None in Zoom. Okay. We may be able to get through everyone, so we'll go ahead. I'll start calling folks up a few at a time. Please be ready so we can move through as many people as we can as possible tonight in this public comment period. First, I see Michael Seldich, followed by Wendy Goldman, followed by Stephanie Harker.
I would like to thank the council for approving B8, the artist grants. As a filmmaker, I appreciate your support for the arts. That said, I must call out on the record the underhanded way the steering committee for the Fountain Streetscape project was formed. Staff working for a pro-project council majority handpicked the members. There was no open call for neutral or opposing voices, and the people who live on Fountain, like myself, the ones most affected, were left out. Instead, we got city commissioners, staff, designers, and bike advocates who were all already on board. Kevin Burton and others are on the record saying just that. Critics aren't imagining bias, and there are plenty of critics. With staff selecting members and council approving the roster, dissenting voices had no chance to be heard, and the outcome was inevitable. Bottom line, this committee was stacked from the start. The way this committee was formed, the lack of multiple design options, and the blatant dismissal of valid logistical and safety concerns from the public and council members Heilman and Meister all expose how the council majority pushes its agenda while ignoring its constituents. And with the shameful item F1 set to pass tonight, you'll be proving my point.
Wendy Goldman, followed by Stephanie Harker, followed by Tom DeMille.
Good evening, council members, mayor, city staff, and residents, and members of the public. Wendy Goldman, West Hollywood. I am speaking to item B5 regarding the ordinance regulating ADUs. In number 4A, it states no off-street parking is required, and 4B, no replacement parking required. It begs the question of where the displaced residents are supposed to park. In 2019, Harrod Street lost 15 parking spaces due to development, pushing residents, guests, and delivery vehicles to park further away on Hammond Street and further east. The residents who park near Harrod and San Vicente were also pushed, and scarcity has made us into enemies. This sounds like the old shell game, moving the target around so it gets lost. The anger and frustration of residents who live in the Cynthia Sunset Neighborhood Watch area, especially on Phyllis Avenue, where 3 ADU projects are currently underway. May I have 30 seconds? Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't your timer.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Where 3 ADU projects are underway is spilling over into daily life. Has the decision to allow these policies to take effect been ignored? Has it just ignored the harm done to residents? I've heard that the owner of the ADUs have to allow the residents rent reduction when this amenity is removed. Do the residents have a choice to refuse and demand a better solution? I do not understand the history of this item, the rationale of doing such harm to residents, living on a dead-end street where parking is scarce, getting calls from neighbors about damage done to their property by other vehicles cut through traffic, sideswiping parked cars on narrow streets like Phyllis. This should be a no-brainer. Stop making a choice to remove off-street parking for ADUs. Thank you.
Stephanie Harker, followed by Tom DeMille, followed by Paul Nichols.
Good evening, Stephanie Harker, City of West Hollywood. I want to thank all of you, all of the community members and staff members and Lauren Meister for showing up to our local organic No King's Day rally. It was very successful. There was a lot of enthusiasm, and we were especially happy to see Debbie and Lauren there, as they were the ones who inspired us with their brilliant rally in June of this year. I want to thank you all for approving the Arts Council's recommendations to award the grants to 12 arts organizations. The more art grants, the better, especially with what the federal government is doing. And also on Saturday, I attended the children's Halloween party at Plummer Park. It was wonderful. It gets better every year. I especially want to thank Stephanie Martinez and staff members Natalie and Diana, who are there every year. And I want to thank staff in general for putting up with us dashing our letters off in at the last minute with Melissa handling those. And I want to also commend the city, David Wilson, for moving forward on safety measures for Fountain, because whether or not the bike lanes are installed, we need Fountain to be safer for the next 2 years, possibly with the building going on. So we all know the problems and the issues with that, and we hope that things will move along quicker for the safety measures that are being taken on there, including red light cameras. Thank you.
Tom DeMille, followed by Paul Nichols, followed by, I think, Romy Arantes. Sorry if I'm getting these wrong.
Yes, my name is Tom DeMille. I'm from the city of West Hollywood. I'm a graduate of the Sheriff's Academy 2002, proud of that. I've also run for city council 4 times, and I intend on having my name on the ballot next November. Partly and mostly because of the Fountain Project. We have 6 bikes on that street, and we have 100,000 people walking on our sidewalks in Boys Town, Rainbow District, and Sunset Boulevard. Not so much Sunset, we'll get to that. But hundreds of thousands of people are walking on those sidewalks, and our sidewalks are all broken up. City attorney, stop this. City manager, save the money and spend it on the sidewalks where the people walk. Where the people walk up on Sunset. I also want to fix Sunset. It'd be very easy. There's no one there now. Let's put music up there. Let's make a calendar of events with rock music that they'll play the entire rock catalog of that particular artist all day long from 5 till like 11. It'll be just a little bit louder than the traffic and the trucks, but not loud enough that you won't hear someone beep your horn at you. And that'll bring the people back there. We'll get businesses thriving there. And when we do the sidewalks, which I want to do right away, all the sidewalks in Rainbow District, they all should have our insignia and the names of people that mattered in our history. The same thing with Sunset Boulevard. All the rock bands in our history should be up on the sidewalk so people will walk and have something to do up there and spend their money. It's going to pay it back. It'll pay us back for the next 20 years. Why do we lose our history? Because of that, we've lost our balance. We've lost our city. If we don't remember our history, we've lost everything going to the future. I've got 10 seconds left. I said enough. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Paul Nichols, followed by Romy Arantes, followed by Kevin Burton.
Council, my name is Paul Nichols. I'm one of the partners of Beaches Tropicana. I've lived in West Hollywood for 25 years. I'm speaking with regards to the item F2, the unlicensed sidewalk vendors. I want to start off by saying I'm usually here asking for less regulations, but I'm never against anybody's hustle or making a living in this city. It's how I started, handing out flyers on that same corner for my promotions. But there's some it's basically gotten out of control. Aside from the obvious health issue, it's still cheaper than an Ozempic prescription, so I'm not really even here to speak to that. But the safety issue has really gotten really hard for us to deal with as a venue on that corner. At times we have sometimes 12 to 20 hot dog vendors blocking our exits, our entrances, being extremely aggressive with how they're trying to sell the hot dogs. I've had security who's asked them to move or get out of the way, had them splash hot grease at them. That same grease, by the way, that gets dumped onto the sidewalk or into the trees at the end of the night, which people then slip on the next day. We also had a hot dog cart blow up. It had flames going about 10 feet in the air, the same height as the bus station. Of course, was abandoned by the vendor who ran away, led to the fire department being called to our venue because it set up all our smoke alarms, not to mention the obviously unsafe issue of a a fireball in the middle of a very busy sidewalk. The other issue that's come up now is they are now working with or actually vending alcohol, both in the form of minis and buzzballs. If you don't know what a buzzball is, it's a really strong drink that's shaped like a ball. The reason why it's shaped like a ball is so you can sneak it into a venue between your breasts or your butt cheeks. And they're also selling them to minors who are now hanging out on the streets, enjoying the music, which you can hear, of course, on the street from the venues, which are open concept, just having a party, which has led to fights and all sorts of other issues. So I have video of all this, by the way. If any of you would like to see it, I'd be happy to send it your way. Thank you.
Romy Orantes, followed by Kevin Burton, followed by Lynn, etc.
Hi, good evening. I am also talking about F2, the illegal
Can you put the mic on a little bit? Yeah, that's right.
hot dog people. Mainly, I'm Romy, the GM at Rocco's. The sanitation issue is awful. They're using vapes, they're using their own cellular phones, they are parking their cars, there's kids involved, so we know that the standards that we as operators need to uphold to the public health department, they are not. If someone orders a hot dog out in front of my place and they get sick, they're gonna blame it on us, which is not the case. They also are very aggressive towards us as operators and as all the patrons walking by. They have illegal trash and grease and water dumping on the San Vicente side of Rocco's. And they are, like Paul stated, they're just a nuisance to us at this moment. So, thank you.
Kevin Burton, followed by Lynn, etc., followed by Mito Aviles.
If it pleases the mayor, I'd like to request an additional 30 seconds so that I can add my comments to Councilmember Myers, Councilmember Meister about Carl Cronin.
Let's just see how we go, yeah.
Okay. I just want to also mourn the loss of Carl Cronin. He was the founder, along with myself, of a local West Hollywood-based group of CERT volunteers, WehoTV. And I've known him for many years, and he was the leader of working to train people for emergency response in West Hollywood for many years. And we're going to have a meeting, CERT graduates, just tomorrow evening. And so we will miss his presence. And I certainly send my condolences to his wife, Toby, and their sons. So now, getting on to my comments that I wanted to make. I want to draw an issue to the attention of the council that's been bothering me for a long time. That is community awareness of the causes of most of the unnatural deaths in West Hollywood. That is crashes on our streets involving motor vehicles. And the West Hollywood Bicycle Coalition worked with the Public Safety Commission and the Sheriff's Department over 10 years ago to report collisions between cars and pedestrians, cars and bicycles, to the Public Safety Commission every month with its location and other details, so the community could be informed, but most people don't look at that. Sad thing is, when there's a crash the next morning, it's all cleaned up. Most don't know anything ever happened. That happened last Friday. Somebody was killed. So the Bicycle Coalition would like to request City Council do, as is done in LA and Pasadena, erect signage at every location honoring the people who are killed in crashes on West Hollywood streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn, etc., followed by Mito Aviles, followed by Rick Watts.
Lynn, etc., West Hollywood. I attended the No Kings rally in March Saturday downtown. There were no porta potties, 50,000 plus humans, advertised starting at 2 p.m. During the Clinton Don't Ask, Don't Tell years, there became a leadership-requested trend to not call ourselves liberals, instead progressives. I'm an FDR, Eleanor Roosevelt liberal. I find to this day progressives to be regressive. They talk the talk, but don't walk the walk. Senior citizens, disabled, women, mothers with children, and no porta potties. After experiencing that, a new person to rallies would naturally question who in the hell approved the permit? What law exists? It's called discrimination, the absurdity. I've been going to rallies for decades. This was the worst rally I've ever been to in my entire life. No porta potties. What law is there? I'm so blown away. I'm speechless. And the rally started at 2. They advertised you could come a little bit early. At 2 o'clock, tons of people were still coming, and they started the march. Like I say, I've been to tons of rallies, and this one was beyond belief, and I'm sick of progressives.
Mito Aviles, followed by Rick Watts, followed by Kyle Brazil.
Hi everyone, my name is Mito Aviles, resident and also Commissioner of Art and Culture for the City of West Hollywood. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I am honored to serve as a Commissioner of the City of West Hollywood's Arts and Cultural Affairs Commission. First, I want to express my deep gratitude for your ongoing support for the arts. You've helped make West Hollywood a city where creativity, expression, and community truly thrive. And we see that energy come alive every year during Pride. That's why I'm here tonight to strongly reaffirm item B13. The Commission's unanimous vote to recommend an $80,000 increase to the 2026 WeHo Pride Arts Festival budget. This isn't just about numbers. It's about investing in our artists, our local talent, and the cultural heartbeat that defines this city. The festival continues to grow, and so do community expectations. To maintain the quality, diversity, and accessibility that reflect West Hollywood's values, this additional funding is essential. I also want to highlight the trolley service mentioned in the staff report, which also was voted unanimously by the Commission, a wonderful and much needed idea, but currently without a funding source. Accessibility and safe inclusion, transportation to and from the festival must be a part of the vision, not an afterthought. We have something truly special here, and the arts are what connects us across generations, identities, and neighborhoods. Let's make sure our budget reflects that spirit. Thank you for your continued leadership and for standing with the arts community. Thank you.
Rick Watts, followed by Kyle Brazil, followed by Reed DeVenio.
Thank you, Council. Rick Watts, City of West Hollywood. I want to invite you all, on behalf of the Disabilities Advisory Board, to attend the annual Disabilities Advisory Board's Service Awards, which will be in council chambers right here, Wednesday night, 6 p.m. And among our honorees is no less than Stephen David Simon, who is head of the City of Los Angeles Department on Disabilities. And Stephen has a long record of service to persons with disabilities of whatever stripe, be they seen or unseen disabilities, mobility, cognitive disabilities, sight, hearing, you name it. I've said this before, but it bears repeating that virtually everybody in this chamber and virtually everyone in this city, if we live long enough, are going to experience or suffer one or more disabilities, either temporary or permanent. And of course, we all know persons who have those disabilities. And your Disabilities Advisory Board serves as a liaison and advocate for persons with disabilities and a voice for council to inform them of the programming and services that the city provides. And also to provide input and sometimes chastisement, such as on the scooters that continue to plague us and our sidewalks. But you folks have done a lot of good work too, and I want to give credit where credit is due on those things, and I hope to see all of you. We hope to see all of you on Wednesday night, and I hope to see everybody in this chamber, because this is the issues that we deal with are issues that matter to you and to your relatives and friends who deal with disabilities. Thank you.
Kyle Brazil, followed by Reed DeVenio, followed by David Eckert.
When I raised the bike lane safety problems in the last council meeting, Mr. Erickson suggested I check my priorities. Instead of addressing the problems in your plan, you invoked Blake's memorial, again, in a contemptible effort to distract. But I'll continue to call you on your bullshit because you can and should improve safety. Instead, you insist on pushing one careless plan that didn't consider a single option where traffic signals changed. That's not a safety effort, that's a bike lane project. The Bike Coalition similarly misled the public with Venice Boulevard's bike lane. The city's own review showed immediate failure to reduce speed, reduce collisions, but it did reduce cyclists, and we call that a win. The acceleration of deaths after the bike lane went in proves its continued failure. You don't care about the 33 or 30-year-old cyclist severely injured on that road after the bike lane was added, or the 34-year-old motorist killed, or the 51, 71, or 40-year-old pedestrians killed with the latest death just earlier this year. How many people need to die on roads with bike lanes before you understand they don't work? Even Bike LA admits 15% of cyclist fatalities occur on roads with bike lanes, far more than their share of roadway. Bike lanes increase perceived safety, not real safety. But this council thinks replacing parked cars with planter boxes for some negligible benefit for Ms. Byers' heat island is more important than saving lives. And you'll pretend this is about equity, ignoring the UCLA study that concluded, quote, policymakers should consider cars as basic infrastructure for low-income households, and cleaner vehicles are an equitable mitigation strategy to pollution. Even Bike LA's executive director acknowledges autonomous shared vehicles are the key to equity in his surprising partnership piece with Waymo, the Google ride-hailing company, where he references his, quote, aging parents no longer able to safely ride a bike due to health challenges. Stop pretending this will save lives, improve the environment, or improve equity. Mr. Erickson is in this for the campaign and fundraising machine that is the Bike Coalition for his state Senate bid. But sure, I'm the one that needs to check my priorities.
Reed DeVenio, followed by David Eckert, followed by Alec White. And then I believe we have one speaker in Zoom.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Anthony DiEugenio, a 30-year resident. Congratulations to the City Council members that have been recognized for their services. And yes, Mayor Erickson, anti-Semitism does not belong in West Hollywood and will not be tolerated. There's a viral video going around claiming that I'm racist. My family are immigrants. We were from Italy. They were spit on and thrown to the water at Ellis Island. I get it. I'm not against illegal immigration or legal immigration, whatever it may be. What I am against is unfair business practice. Every night, I watch over 30 illegal vendors disrespectfully pour hot, toxic, flammable oil into the street and sidewalk, leaving food, debris, and trash behind them. It's unacceptable for us to put the public in harm's way with explosive devices and toxic garbage. With new leadership like Mr. Hang, he will not let criminals dictate to him the terms of their presence. He's going to take swift action and amputate this organized criminal element and make WeHo safe again. Cannot believe I have that much time left. My goodness. Congratulations, Mrs. Meister, for you being recognized, and Mr. Hellman for your lifetime achievement. You were amazing. We love you. You're part of the fabric. We love our mayor. Thank you, Mr. Erickson and Mr. Hang. Mr. Wilson, we're going to miss you when you leave, as I told you earlier today. I can't believe we're going to lose you, but you've been fantastic. And thank you, Mrs. Langer, for closing the deal. Thank you, everyone.
David Eckert, followed by Alec White.
Good evening, City Council. David Eckert, resident of West Hollywood. I want to just, as Councilmember John Erickson said last week, there are too many accidents still happening on Fountain. And I just want to point out that the reduced speed doesn't seem to be working at all, from going down from 35 to 30. I would love the steering committee to look at studying the idea of turning every intersection into four-way stops, like Hollywood and East Hollywood. It seems to be very effective of reducing speeds and accidents. And on that too, I live on Fountain, and this morning I watched Athens pick up our trash, and I watched 15 cars go over the yellow cross line into oncoming traffic, and I'm very concerned that this is going to happen even more as we continue with this plan. I just really want the steering committee to continue to look at how we're going to solve these issues. And lastly, I just want to say, as we come up here a lot on the dais, many of you just look down and you don't make eye contact with us. And it's sort of a little disrespectful. And I'm sorry to say that. I respect all of you, and I just would like the common courtesy to acknowledge that we exist and that our opinions are just as important as everybody else's. And Chelsea, you always make eye contact, so I thank you for that, and same to Lauren and John. Thank you.
Alec White, I believe, is our last speaker. If anyone else wanted to speak, please sign up, and then we'll go to Zoom.
Hello, Mayor Byers and Vice Mayor Hellman and members of the City Council. So speaking a couple of hats today. First off, I'm speaking as the president of the West Side Young Democrats. I just wanted to thank Council members Hang and Erickson and Mayor Byers for speaking at the Yes on Prop 50 rally we had on October 11th for National Coming Out Day. We were working really hard to go knock doors in WeHo with a coalition of Democratic clubs like LA Young Dems, Stonewall Young Dems, and many WeHo community leaders. So if you folks in the audience want to volunteer as well, we're still doing it. Go to mobilize.us so you can find a volunteer opportunity near you to get it passed. And also just wanted to say all the council members doing great work to support it. And Erickson, Byers, and Hang really more than embody the values of Prop 50 that they're introducing. So we wanted to make sure we say that. And on another note, taking off my Westside Young Dems hat, just wanted to speak in support of F4, the Sunset Strip Music Festival. I'm just really excited to see how it could bring a lot more revenue to our local small businesses and also get more folks into WeHo who can just, be more consumers for our small businesses and our communities. So I am really excited about that on the agenda and love to see it get passed. So thanks, everybody, and have a good meeting.
I see Adam Aramenian signed up, and then I believe that concludes our in-person comments, and then we'll go to Zoom next.
Good evening, Adam Aramian, 25-year resident of West Hollywood and employee of West Hollywood. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Today I'm here to speak about item F2, for the unpermitted, unlicensed sidewalk vendors. I also want to thank Councilmember Danny Hang for bringing this in front of the council. It's a very important topic that we need to address. As we all know, there are numerous hot dog vendors throughout West Hollywood on any busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or any holiday, gay pride situations that may exist. All those numerous hot dog vendors that we have, they are obstructing our sidewalks. When I say numerous, there's anywhere from 6 to 8 vendors who are standing outside the sidewalks, obstructing our right-of-way, blocking the entrance to our businesses, blocking wheelchair access as well. There have been numerous customer complaints where customers are being sick, from after eating the hot dogs. They're overpriced. What is it going to take to make sure these illegal vendors are not on our streets? On top of that, we don't only have illegal hot dog vendors, but now we have illegal alcohol sales. These illegal alcohol sales are occurring on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sunday evenings. It's a hot dog cart, a similar item like that, and you don't even know she's selling alcohol. When you approach her, she'll feel you out, and once she knows you're secure, she'll ask you if you want alcohol. She also referred that she has a stronger drinks than any bar in West Hollywood. So they are not checking IDs, they are not being responsible, and I just ask before any more deaths or accidents happen in West Hollywood that we resolve this. Thank you.
We'll go to Zoom for any final speakers. We have just one. Okay.
Yes, we have Genevieve Morrill.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. I'll be speaking a little later on F2 and F4. We're really excited about having those items come forward. Thank you for that. But right now I'm wearing my hat as Executive Director for the Sunset Strip to invite all of you in the community and the City Council to come to this Saturday's Spinning Sunset. The Sunset Strip Business Improvement District Board invites you to a family-friendly spooky edition at the Pink Dot parking lot from 12 to 6. We have vinyl records, spooky memorabilia, DJs, pumpkin painting, face painting, spooky photo ops, and lots of activities for the whole family. And we have a trolley making stops at various businesses. There are many businesses who have special promotions and spooky activations and deals. Then the next week, we're going to be calling that Halloween on Sunset, and we have lots of events happening in the venues from this Saturday through November 2nd. So for more information, go to thesunsetstrip.com, and you can see all the activations from our businesses. Thank you.
That will conclude our final public comment. We are now going to go to a 10-minute recess, council, to discuss a few items. We'll be back with the public shortly. Thank you. Your seats. Thank you for your patience. As we get started, just a note, Councilmember Meister has a medical emergency. She is okay, but it is going to interfere with her ability to proceed with tonight's meeting, so she has left the meeting for this evening. As a result, there are a number of items that by her request we kept from consent, so we'll discuss which of those should be tabled. We also have a public hearing that we will discuss moving to a future date, I believe the November 3rd council meeting. And I know that Councilmember Meister had an item of her own on the agenda that we kept from consent, so perhaps that could also be moved to the November 3rd council meeting. And F1 was the other item, the removing infrastructure roadblocks item. She requested that we table that to November 3rd as well. Were there any other, is that okay with everyone here? Yes.
Why don't we go through it one more time
Yes.
with the agenda?
Sure. So
numbers?
So starting with item C1, which was the next item that we would hear, the public hearing, we will table that item. The public hearing will be tabled, or I'm sorry, continued until November 3rd council meeting. Item E1 also was requested, the update to the city's flag policy. I know she had comments on that, so we will continue that item to the November 3rd council meeting as well. The F1 will be continued to November 3rd. That was the removing infrastructure roadblocks item. Then we have F5, which was Councilmember Meister's item, so we'll continue that as well.
I was going to ask if we could do a motion and make sure that
Sure.
the four
Mayor?
council members are all comfortable.
She also had questions about E5, which was the advisory board meeting
That's right.
frequency update.
Yeah, thank you. Knew there was another. So we'll continue that one to the 3rd as well. So with that, we'll take a motion. We have a motion from Vice Mayor and a second from Councilmember Erickson. Do we need to repeat that one more time?
Before we vote, can I ask the city clerk, are there any people here who were going to speak on those items?
That's right, there were.
We had one individual signed up to speak for the public hearing, Brandon Zavala.
No.
But Brandon's fine. Brandon will be here in 2 weeks. E1, we are tabling, so we had one individual signed up for E1. E3, we are keeping on the agenda, the equitable building standards, that's staying? Okay. E4 is staying, that one's okay. F1, we had several people signed up to speak for that item.
Okay.
And that was it.
And then F5, we didn't have any?
No.
You mentioned she didn't have any significant
Oh, I confused that one with E5 then, I'm sorry.
Leave E1. And we'll talk with her
Okay,
about anything,
understood.
any adjustments, but she said it wasn't.
It was E5, I knew that's what it was.
So E1 is going to stay?
E1 can stay.
Okay, so it's C1, E5, F1, and F5?
Will be
Let's double,
continued
triple
till November 3rd.
Okay.
Continued, yep. Okay.
And if I'm assuming we're going to vote in favor of continuing these items. If there are people who are unable to come back for those items, maybe Melissa, you can check to see if any of the speakers, we can hear them later in the meeting.
That's right.
Okay. Under the second public comment period?
Yeah.
You wanna
I think
do?
that
Okay.
makes sense.
So there is a motion and a second motion from Vice Mayor Heilman, second from Councilmember Erickson to amend tonight's agenda based on Councilmember Meister's medical emergency. And with that, we will take a vote. And the motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all so much for your patience and understanding. We are now on item E1, unfinished business, the update to the city's flag policy. I'll turn this over to our city manager, David Wilson. Oh, good.
City manager's comments.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we skipped that.
We didn't do the consent calendar yet. but
That's
you have
right,
to do
right,
it.
right. Sorry, everyone. A little jerked around tonight. We're not quite into that yet. We finished the public comment just before we broke for recess, so we're coming back to our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members and community members. Just a few brief updates. All right. So Halloween, West Hollywood will be hosting its annual Halloween Carnival on Friday, October 31st from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Come out to the Rainbow District to enjoy the costumes, creative festivities at the city businesses, and special tribute to the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show from the main stage. Santa Monica Boulevard will be closed from 10 a.m. on Friday, October 31st through 6 a.m. on Saturday, November 1st to accommodate the festivities. The city is now accepting nominations for the 2025 Rainbow Key Awards, which recognizes individuals and groups who have made outstanding contributions to the LGBTQ+ community. Since 1993, the city has honored those who have demonstrated extraordinary dedication to advancing LGBTQ+ visibility, equality, and quality of life locally, nationally, and globally. We invite you to consider nominating someone who has made a meaningful impact in the LGBTQ+ community, or to help spread the word about this year's awards. Nominations are open through Sunday, November 1st, 2025. For nomination forms and additional information, please visit weho.org/rainbowkey. And finally, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department conducted a scheduled undercover operation on Friday night in West Hollywood's Rainbow District in response to reports of pickpocketing and other criminal activity. Several arrests were made, and I'm going to ask our Captain, Fanny Lapkin, if she can come up and just give a brief overview of that operation.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I could give limited information onto the operation that occurred on Friday. So the operation was a pre-planned operation from complaints, well, not complaints, but concerns from our businesses and our community in regards to the pickpocketing, to their narcotics, and also to the illegal vending and some of the criminal activity during the illegal vending. We had several arrests from a specific location without mentioning any names, but it was not a target-specific operation. It was meant to be in the Rainbow District. It was supposed to be the whole Rainbow District, so that's what it was, to address those issues that have come up. It's not the first time we've had those type operations. It's not going to be the last time we have those type operations, because when we have concerns of pickpocketing, we know that that's been a concern. When we have concerns of illegal drug use, we're going to address those. And then again, as of late, is the vendors, and then some of the criminal activity that the street vendors are partaking.
Some of the social media posts indicated that it was ICE. There was no ICE involvement in this operation.
It was all Sheriff's Department personnel.
Yeah, we have some questions from Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you for that explanation. What is the best way, in your opinion, to help make sure that the message that is being put out there, which is factually inaccurate, is actually getting back to the truth? Because on Sunday, I had to tell a lot of people a lot of stuff, and they refused to believe me, because I think tensions are really high right now. But the Sheriff's Department, are you still waiting to fill the PIO position at the WeHo station?
Correct. And again, it's part of the moratorium. But we did put out something early Saturday to try to dispel any of those rumors.
Thank you. And then can you, because there's been some confusion around the wearing of masks given the passage of the state law that just happened. My understanding is that state law doesn't apply until 2026 of January.
Correct. And I asked one of the supervisors there, and that one individual apparently was sick, and that's the reason why he was wearing the mask. There was no other individuals that were wearing.
And for my own clarity, just to how I think I follow this process, these individuals wouldn't need warrants to arrest people, because in a lot of the videos you'd say, well, where's your warrant? Because they thought it was ICE in a lot of ways, but for this type of an arrest as a result of the operation, they found individuals doing certain things or selling certain things, and therefore they arrested them on the spot.
Correct. They don't need a warrant for that, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Councilmember Hing?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Captain. Can you please clarify what illegal street vending issues were encountered?
So we have complaints of the selling of the alcohol, selling of other, I want to say paraphernalia, but smoking paraphernalia, but mainly is the alcohol from some of the street vendors. So that was one of the things that we were going to target during this operation as well.
So just to clarify, some of the street vendors were selling alcohol, and that's why they were detained.
No, on this specific,
Oh,
the
okay.
people that were detained were not, none of them were street vendors.
Got it.
That was the point of the operation, is to do that, but we didn't get to that point.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, oh, go ahead. That concludes your report then? Thank you for your report. We'll go to the fiscal impact on consent calendar. May we please have the fiscal impact?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The fiscal impact on tonight's consent calendar with the addition of item F6 is $429,500 in expenditures, $5,000 in revenue, and $15,760 in waived fees. There is a motion from Vice Mayor Heilman and a second from Mayor Byers to approve tonight's consent calendar.
And just for the record, I am recusing myself from item B8.
B8.
Yeah, the
Okay.
funding grants.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we will start voting. And the motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, now on to unfinished business, item E1, the update to the city's flag policy. I see we have our staff representatives in place. I know this was held from consent for some questions that I think we have since addressed, but we can maybe do a quick overview unless my colleagues have any deeper questions. Well, okay, we'll hand it to City Manager.
So this item is a resolution to update the city's flag policy, which outlines the requirements for the outdoor public display of governmental and non-governmental flags, and the procedures for flying the flag of the United States at half-staff at City Hall and other city properties. On Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, all flags in West Hollywood were lowered to half-staff in accordance with the presidential proclamation following the killing of Charlie Kirk. Flags continue to fly half-staff through sundown on Sunday, September 14th. Many community members expressed deep concern about the city's decision to comply with the presidential directive. In particular, there were significant outrage regarding the lowering of the LGBTQ+ flags, which are prominently flown in West Hollywood as a symbol of pride, inclusion, and community identity. Under the U.S. Flag Code, when flags of the states or cities are flown from adjacent staffs, no such flag shall be placed above the flag of the United States. In accordance with flag protocol, the act of lowering the flag of the United States required that all the other flags be lowered, including the LGBTQ+ flags. Historically, the city has followed such presidential protocols to honor the symbolic unity represented by the American flag and to demonstrate respect for the institution of government. However, these are complex and unprecedented times, especially in regard to traditional customs and the actions of the current federal administration. In this context, the city reviewed the existing flag policy to ensure it appropriately reflects the core values of West Hollywood and allows the city adequate discretion in when the flags may be lowered. The proposed resolution and policy consolidate the procedures regarding the display of flags and half-staff protocols into one policy. The updated flag policy maintains the city's existing policy that the City of West Hollywood will follow flag protocols in accordance with the U.S. Flag Code. This includes key guidelines for displaying the flag properly and with reverence. The U.S. Flag Code provides specific instances when the flag shall be flown at half-staff upon the death of principal figures such as the president or former officials of the government, chief justices, members of the armed forces who die while serving on active duty, and foreign dignitaries. The city's updated flag policy provides some discretion to the city manager in consultation with the mayor and vice mayor to make local decisions regarding lowering the flag to half-staff on occasions that are not specifically identified in the U.S. Flag Code, such as the recent occasion of the president ordering flags lowered to half-staff after the death of Charlie Clerk. In addition to the occasions outlined in the U.S. Flag Code, the City of West Hollywood shall lower flags to half-staff upon the death of current or former city council members. The city manager, in consultation with the mayor and vice mayor, may also direct staff to fly flags at half-staff following the death of certain prominent community members. However, it is important to note that the flag should be displayed at half-staff on rare occasions in order to maintain the honor and reverence of this solemn act. When the flag is displayed at half-staff, the city will share information about who is being honored for how long on the city's website and social media platforms.
I do see that we have one member of the public signed up to speak. I don't see, is Alan Strasberg still here?
Oh, shucks.
Maybe he's out in the...
I don't see him either.
Okay, so maybe if there's anybody else who would wish to comment, now's the time. Do we have any questions, comments from the council? Okay, not seeing... Oh, good.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. And I know this issue really troubled a lot of people during this horrific time. I know Vice Mayor Heilman probably, when we did these policies way back when for the city, never imagined a time where we would have an individual like Charlie Kirk having the flag lowered for him, and it's egregious and horrible and everything. And I just know that it really rattled a lot of people, and that was never the intention of the city. And I want to thank the comms department for putting out their statement as quickly as possible to get it out there for the community. But those feelings have to be acknowledged and recognized because it really did elicit a lot of hurt, and rightfully so. So I'm really glad the city acted so quickly. I know the mayor and I were away at a conference getting a lot of messages and trying to deal with community. So thank you very much, and thank you, David, for moving fast. And at a time when reverence has to be held in the same way, you did a really great job. So thank you very much.
Councilmember Heng.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager. Thank you, staff. I wanted to thank you for your expeditious work on the item. I'm certainly in favor of it. It aligns with West Hollywood's core values. This update ensures that our flag policies reflects who we are, a city that champions inclusion, diversity, community identity. It also gives us the power to avoid symbolic actions that clash with our values. It also, for me, it balances tradition with modern realities. We continue to honor the U.S. Flag Code while adapting to today's political and social context, ensuring our actions reflect both national tradition and our local principles here at home. It also improves transparency and trust. Publicly sharing why and when the flag is lowered builds accountability and strengthens community trust with our community members. It also streamlines and clarifies the policy. As Councilmember Erickson just said, our flag policy was in multitude. Combining these various flag policies into one document makes the process clearer, cleaner, more accessible, and easier to follow for staff and members of the public and residents. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, we have a motion to adopt the resolution. Do you have a second? Great. Thank you. And as Councilmember Erickson said, I appreciate the community's engagement over the last several weeks on this issue as well. We'll move to item E2, our public-private partnership with plenary broadband infrastructure.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members. My name is Eugene Sippis. I'm the IT manager for the city. With me, I have our telecommunication consultant, Joanne Hovis, and on Zoom, I have a representative from Plenary, Elliot Jamieson, Vice President. Tonight, the City Council will consider taking staff's recommendation to end exclusive negotiation agreement with Plenary to construct and operate a citywide broadband network. Additionally, staff is looking for City Council's direction on next steps to advance city's goals of expanding access to high-speed internet and prepare West Hollywood for future smart city initiatives. Some of the background: in 2016, City Council adopted Fiber Network Infrastructure and Services Strategic Plan. The strategic plan outlined advantages of establishing a fast and affordable broadband network, including economic growth, improved services, support for public safety, telehealth, and other smart city initiatives. In 2022, the city released Citywide Broadband Infrastructure and Services RFP. The RFP yielded 4 responses, and after thorough evaluation, staff identified Plenary as the preferred partner. Plenary's original proposal was to form a public-private partnership, or a P3, to build a citywide network to meet municipal and community goals with minimal city financial contribution. So in October of 2023, City Council authorized the city to enter into an exclusive negotiation agreement, or ENA, with Plenary to pursue the proposal. As part of the ENA, Plenary conducted market analysis, citywide survey, feasibility design, and financial modeling, and the finding from the ENA determined the city would need to contribute between $25 and $28 million for project to be viable. So in April of 2025, City Council provided direction to proceed with formal negotiation for the implementation of a citywide broadband network, supported by projected city investment of $25 to $28 million. Since Council's direction in April, city staff and Plenary worked to finalize the business terms, obtain detailed cost estimates for the outside plant construction via the request for quote managed by Plenary. The RFQ sought competitive proposals to select most qualified contractor for the project. More than 20 pre-qualified firms were invited, with 6 completed proposals were received and evaluated. The RFQ revealed significant challenges. Several qualified contractors declined to bid, citing difficulties complying with city's project labor agreement, or PLA, particularly given the project's reliance on specialized construction technique of microtrenching. The contractors that did submit proposals provided estimates that were significantly higher than anticipated and had an extended timeline to comply with the PLA requirements. The latest estimates places the city required contribution at $40 to $42 million, with estimated construction timeline of 30 months, which is significantly above previously estimated $25 to $28 million and 18 to 24 months to complete the construction. Key factors that contributed to this escalation include uncertainty related to multi-dwelling unit access, construction cost uncertainty due to absence of a low-level design, limited contractor interest attributed to PLA requirements, and increased construction timeline due to PLA training requirements to certify microtrenching technicians. Given the substantial cost escalation and higher city contribution on the current terms, staff recommends ending exclusive negotiation with Plenary for the construction of the network and recalibrating its city's efforts to improve broadband in the city. Leveraging deliverables produced during the NA, the city now has the strategic opportunity to refocus, retool, and relaunch its efforts to improve broadband in the community. More specifically, staff recommends the following steps: clarify and optimize the project scope and delivery model, reassess the public-private partnership structure and ownership model, enhance RFP design and expand marketing engagement to attract better range of competitive proposals, and last, continue to strategically invest into fiber infrastructure. To wrap things up, staff remains committed to advancing city's goals of equitable access, promoting stronger, more diverse local economy, and preparing City of West Hollywood for future smart city advancements. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much. I don't see any members of the public signed up to speak on this, so we can come to the council for questions or discussion. Councilmember Erickson.
Don't we already have these capabilities based on the conversation we had a few months ago with Spectrum being able to provide most of this?
As mentioned, I believe in previous staff report, so Spectrum and AT&T certainly has presence in the city. But certainly the coverage is not ubiquitous, and coverage does not always mean quality of service. And so it's yes, there's a lot of coverage by these incumbents, but it's not ubiquitous, and the quality of their service is something that could be improved.
But they already have the infrastructure to do it now.
Do you want to kind of take that?
Thank you and good evening. Both Spectrum and AT&T have considerable infrastructure in the city, as they do in the entire metro area. What they don't have is fiber to the premises. So they have a much older infrastructure. In AT&T's case, primarily copper wiring, twisted pair copper that was originally designed for telephone service. And then in Spectrum Charter's case, a hybrid fiber coaxial cable that was originally designed for cable television. They're both very capable networks. They both offer good services. I'm sure they have many satisfied customers, but it's not state of the art. It's not fiber to the premises. It's not comparable to what your neighbors in many other communities throughout California and in LA County have. And it's certainly not the standard for best-in-class communications infrastructure. Now, either one of those companies could upgrade their networks, and they probably will incrementally, but it is not at this stage ubiquitous, best-in-class infrastructure.
Thank you. So when you came here before, I voted against it for reasons made true now, why you betted on plenary to be able to step in, do the stuff, get it done. They were the bee's knees of what we need to do, and here we are with them saying nope. And I'm pretty sure they were here, weren't they? And they said the same exact thing, and now they're gone and out the door. How much money have we spent on this, David?
So we're going to pay for deliverables that plenary are going to produce for us as part of this exit strategy in the amount of $350,000, which includes the study, all the low-level designs or high-level designs. And we also spend some money on consulting services from Joanne's team.
Great. I am done with questions. I'll just move into my comments. I told you so. I hate to be here again where we're at, but this is the type of process where we are just wasting public dollars on processes that already exist and the infrastructure that's there in order to do it. I wish we would have listened to these other corporations that actually had been telling us this whole time that they could do these things, not to certain levels. I understand we all need to upgrade our infrastructure. That's what I say about all the time. But this process has been going on for a long time. And we continue to throw money out the door. It's not our money, it's taxpayer money. It's money that could go to social services, it's money that could go to other funding that needs to get done. And here we are, I think I was an intern when they started talking broadband, even probably before then. And we have another corporation that everyone betted and said, oh, they're gonna do it, it's gonna happen, it's gonna get done, we're here, we're finally moving the needle, and bupkis. It's like, I just have to say my extreme disappointment with how much money we are wasting on this in order to go back to the table with the people that can provide it on day one. And they're willing partners. When I had to send this item to people to say, look at where we are now, I mean, it was kind of like one of those fait accomplis, because here we're going to continue to move this forward because 2 of us are in the minority and 3 of us are in the majority, and it's fine. But I hate to say I was right. And I wish we could do better on this and stop wasting money.
Councilmember Hang?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Manager Sipsis. When Plenary first approached the city of West Hollywood, how much was the amount?
So the original proposal was at no cost, maybe some permitting support and stuff like that.
So the original proposal was zero.
That's correct.
And then it ballooned up to what cost from zero?
Today we're talking what?
No, the first balloon.
25 to 28 million dollars, something like that.
So from zero, it went to 25 to 28 million dollars. And then what's the third increase?
Today we're reporting 40 to 42 million dollar.
So we're going from zero in 2023 to 40 to 42 million dollars of our city's money. That's what it ballooned up to. And the initial cost was, I want to say, zero, right? Are you confirming it's zero initially?
It was, but there were some assumptions that the city didn't meet that equated to money, right? The original proposal assumed we had fiber and Sunset, Fountain. That project didn't go, and so that was going to be a city's contribution towards Plenary. So that's why it was zero initially.
Great. I mean, I understand the spirit of the item, but so it ballooned up from zero to 42 million. So it's actually going to be 42,350,000 because we're adding in the studies that were completed.
If the city decides to move forward with it, which is not what I'm recommending, that $350,000 would not be paid to Plenary. If we end the agreement, the materials that they will produce for us, which will be useful if we choose to proceed in a different way, will still be useful. So it's 42 million if we move forward, and 350,000 if you choose not to.
So would it have, just pure speculation, wouldn't it have been cheaper for Spectrum just to update their infrastructure slowly and continue to provide service without any type of city involvement?
Yes, for either Spectrum or AT&T, there is a more cost-effective way for them to upgrade their infrastructure than any other entity because they don't have to get onto utility poles, into underground conduit, negotiate rights of way, et cetera. They have the most cost-effective path. I just want to note, though, that is not something that happens all the time without some kind of competitive pressure. The places where we see the large incumbents upgrading their infrastructure and investing, to their credit, is where they face competition or they face some kind of other disruptive activity, such as a city thinking about its own network, that leads them to pay a different level of attention and invest. It otherwise happens only incrementally. It doesn't happen on a ubiquitous basis, and that tends to be the biggest public policy concern that I observe around the country, is cities that want to be sure that the entire community has access to the new best-in-class infrastructure and not only select neighborhoods.
That part of this came from a council initiative that wanted just that, that there was concerns that we had the large monopolies with Spectrum and with AT&T, and they wanted others to get in so the city could provide affordable internet services to those who couldn't afford it.
But this affordable cost $42,350,000, and I just wanted to highlight that my colleague and I were in the minority, and we were proven right. What other city has Plenary been successful in implementing this type of program?
So Plenary has not done fiber to the home project.
So we would be the first guinea pig city to go through that process?
With Plenary. Plenary is an investor, and they've done many public-private partnerships in other cities. I think they've built Long Beach Civic Center in a partnership. They've done some middle mile projects in North Carolina. The specific fiber to the home is they haven't done in the city, and part of the reason why things went the way they are is because of that inexperience in this specific type of project.
Well, thank you, Manager. Thank you. So this, for me, is a reason why we should leave technological updates to the professionals out there who know what they're doing. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Heilman?
Thank you. I just want to clarify, your recommendation is that we end all negotiations with broadband, plenary broadband, that we not enter into any contract with them for 10 million, 20 million, or 40 million, that as a result of the negotiations you've had with them, you've concluded that it isn't financially feasible for us to move forward with a contract with them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I just wanted to clarify because my colleagues did throw out numbers, and I think members of the public could get frightened that we are in a contract with this entity and that there's been substantial escalation of the contract when in fact we haven't entered into a contract with them at all. And you're recommending that we not do so because of the escalating costs that have arisen during the negotiations.
That is correct.
Based on that, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve your recommendation that we end all negotiations. The work that has been done, I think, has been important work, and it will guide us, hopefully, as we look at other ways that we can expand broadband for the community, whether that's through Spectrum or AT&T, or whether it's not doing anything and allowing the private sector to move forward. I think it's certainly, I'll second the motion, Councilmember Hang. I think it's good information that we had, but clearly this is not the entity that we need to move forward with. Thank you.
And I would also like to add in so that the city's goal, which I think is a valiant goal of ensuring that access is as you've been saying, ubiquitous. It's available to everyone. There's an equity component to that, that people can have dependable coverage, dependable quality at a reasonable cost, which isn't something that the city has control over when it comes to the private market. This was an effort to ensure that the city itself, as cities across this country are doing, could make internet a utility provided through the city services. And I think that is a vision that we should still hold on to and work towards, as I know you'll continue to. And I appreciate the lessons you've learned through this process. I know the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee has done this work. It's incredible, important work that their community has been transformed by. And a city like West Hollywood should absolutely continue its work in making sure that we can unleash this capacity for our residents as well. So I appreciate that this may not be the vendor. We have made vendor, choices that have not ended up in the products that we want to see as a city many times. This is not a sort of errant concern or an egregious moment. It's something that happens throughout process. And so I just want to say that to the community as well, since there's been some quite alarm raised. And I just appreciate the work moving forward. We have a motion to adopt in a second.
Mayor, may I ask a quick question?
Councilmember Erickson spoke first. And then
sorry.
Yeah. Did Charter tell you that they had an upgrade ready when this whole process started?
Charter was one of the 4 responders to the RFP, and their proposal was what is called a bulk agreement. So what bulk agreement meant is, in the terms they provided, included every single non-current Spectrum customer will be covered under that. So net new customers that required no construction for Spectrum. So only where they had service. So if it wasn't covered area, they wouldn't construct under that. Then they would agree to a certain rate that will be locked in for 5 years that the city would have to pay for and then charge back the end customer. And it didn't matter whether the customer was using service or not. Once you're in the contract, the city was on the hook to pay for that. So they did not commit to any construction or service improvements in the proposal.
Great, thank you. And you said something really important right away at the beginning. You say many things because you're very smart, but and you've been with us for a very long time. However, you said that Plenary did not want to abide by the city's PLA. You said, what did you say regarding the PLA?
No, that's not.
Could you rephrase then? So
sure. So Plenary, as the construction companies started exploring, construction proposals, they obviously looked into the PLA requirement. And so the $40 to $42 million includes what was approved by council as far as scope, including the PLA. So to comply with the PLA requirements, that's what it would cost. The plenary did create a scenario where the PLA would be modified, and what they wanted to modify is they wanted all these companies, the construction companies, they want to use their own micro-trenching crews, because that is a very specific trait. It's relatively new, and in order to train labor hall micro-trench crews, that would take a significant amount of time. That makes the project longer and more expensive. And so they're not against the PLA. They're fully ready to comply with the PLA. It's just the cost ballooned more than they even anticipated.
Thank you for clarifying.
Councilmember Hing?
Thank you, Mayor. My apologies earlier. Would plenary consider reimbursing the city back $350,000 for leading us down this no construction hole?
The $350,000 was committed contractually and approved by council. So I don't know, they produced a lot of work on our behalf, a lot of valuable work. So I don't know, I could certainly raise it to that, but I don't know if that's appropriate.
I just feel like it went from 0 to 20 to 28 million to 40 to 42 million. So they produced.
Let's not, those costs weren't costs incurred by the city, to be clear. The costs incurred by the city were the $350,000, which was the work that allowed us to come forward with the recommendations today that say there is a series of next steps, but not with plenary.
And then $350,000 was city share of the expenses, which is up to 50%. And so plenary spent probably as much as, if not more than $350,000 on their own.
Yeah, none of us up here are suggesting we enter into this agreement. There are two of us that want to move forward. 4 of us want to get broadband. 2 of us disagree in a different way. So to Vice Mayor and the Mayor's right point, none of us are trying to, well, that's not my intent, to alarm people with numbers. I know it's not my colleague's intent either. But the fact that, again, we said this was never going to work out, and here we are, it's alarming. So come back, and hopefully we don't spend more money on this for another program that's going to die.
Thank you for your work on this. I remain excited about the broadband opportunities in the city, and thank you for your work to continue pursuing it. We have a motion and a second on the table to end this negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move to item E3, the update on proposed equitable building performance standards and consideration of extension of benchmarking deadlines and exclusion of condominiums from benchmarking requirements. Thank you to our team of staff representatives who are joining us now. We'll allow you to get seated and prepared and then take it over whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Nick Marisich, Director of Community Development, joined by Francisco Contreras, our Long Range Planning Manager, and Senior Planner Christine Shen, who will be giving a brief presentation on the report that's before you. We know this item came to the council previously, was considered and approved on first reading with some additional items that staff were requested to investigate. And so we're coming back to you as a follow-up, and I will hand it off to Christine.
Sorry, give me 1 minute. Okay. All right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'll be giving a 5-minute presentation on updates on the equitable building performance standards, which aim to improve the energy performance of existing buildings in West Hollywood and is a critical program needed to reach the city's carbon neutrality goal, while also meeting other citywide goals for the maintenance of aging housing stock and public health. On August 4th, City Council passed the first reading of the ordinance and requested staff to provide building cost prototypes, financial assistance considerations for rent-stabilized housing, and conduct additional outreach.
Oh, thanks. The presentation has paused for those at home watching and wondering. Give us just a second to address the tech and we'll be right back.
All right, a quick recap of the ordinance. It would require buildings over 20,000 square feet to submit their energy data annually, also known as benchmarking. Down the line, these covered buildings would need to meet and maintain interim and final performance targets. If those targets can't be achieved, buildings have the option to complete a building performance action plan, which is a long-term plan on how they will eventually meet the next performance target. City Council requested cost prototypes and real-world outcomes. The team used results from the statewide cost effectiveness study, which provides the incremental costs of replacing systems at burnout for high efficiency and electric options. We applied the incremental cost from the study to 2 hypothetical building scenarios of what we would see in West Hollywood, which can be found in attachment B. The team also found case studies of comprehensive decarbonization projects in the LA region, which can be found in attachment C. City Council also raised concerns about the potential of the Equitable Building Performance Standard, also known as EBPS, leading to the corporate consolidation of rent-stabilized housing. To prevent displacement and protect our smaller landlords in the city, we've scoped for an equity priority building program, which will offer targeted outreach, technical assistance, and financial assistance specifically to RSO and affordable housing buildings. And this will be on top of the regular outreach and services the city plans to offer all covered buildings. In addition, the city is engaging with the following organizations that offer financial and technical assistance that our rent-stabilized buildings could stack on top of the programming that we will directly offer to them. Council also directed staff to conduct additional outreach specifically to condo owners and HOA management companies. In response, staff mailed postcards to over 3,800 condo owners and emailed close to 80 HOA management companies. This spurred more dialogue with new and existing condo stakeholders. From our conversations, the condo owners stressed the challenges they face as a building with multiple owners and financing that's dependent on all owners in the building being able to pay their dues. Many condo owners, including older adults on fixed incomes, may face difficulty absorbing increased assessments, especially as some are already in arrears and struggling to afford their current HOA assessments. Given these unique circumstances, staff has identified another policy option for how to approach condos. Council could move forward with the draft ordinance as is, which requires condos' common areas to meet performance targets, or City Council could direct staff to exclude condos from meeting performance targets, requiring them only to benchmark, which is reporting their energy usage, and addressing condos' significant impact with other policies and programs. Given the significant impacts that greenhouse gas impacts that condos have, the city's approach will have impacts on its climate goals, which will need to be balanced with the needs of the community. Here's the policy's greenhouse gas reduction potential under 2 condo scenarios. Based on input from the condos, the ordinance that we brought to City Council in August regulated only the common areas of condos. This reduced the policy's greenhouse gas reduction potential from 45% to 30%. If council would like to remove condos from meeting performance targets altogether, the greenhouse gas impact of the policy would be further reduced to 25%. To help close the gap in the greenhouse gas emissions, the city would explore other policies like REACH codes to meet our goals. In addition to the discussion on condos, staff requests a minor revision to the ordinance that would allow impacted building owners more time to complete their first benchmark, and also for the city to support initial compliance efforts. Here are the recommendations, and based on City Council's direction on condos, staff may bring back a revised ordinance for public hearing. That concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know we have one member of the public signed up to speak in chambers, so why don't we go there first, and then we'll come back to council discussion, deliberation. Kevin Burton, I'm glad you knew it was you.
Kevin Burton, resident of West Hollywood. I'll have to say that I'm firstly thankful to staff for all the work they've done on the Building Performance Standards Ordinance and taking into account council's concerns. But I'm a little discouraged by the whittling away of the positive benefits of the Building Performance Standards Ordinance. First, single-family homes were removed. Then condo owners were removed. Now the common areas are being removed. So it's all being put on rentals, much of which are rent stabilized. And the idea that somehow the renters aren't going to have to pay is absurd, because the owners will figure that out into the cost of the market rates that they charge when the units turn over. Rent stabilized buildings, of course the renters are going to pay. So I think it's completely antithetical to adding this adjective, equitable, to say only renters and apartment owners should be paying to help reduce the city's carbon emissions through their buildings. Condo owners should do it. Single-family home owners should do it. That would be equitable. And the city is making admirable efforts to help the financially needy mom and pop apartment owner buildings. I've lived in such a building. They deserve help. Absolutely. Those owners, they could do the same for individual condo owners in a building who need assistance. They could do the same for single-family home owners who need assistance. There are many who have lived in their condos or homes for decades now on fixed incomes. They need assistance. But it should apply to everybody to really have teeth to this program to help the city reach its carbon neutrality goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Come back to the council for discussion. Vice Mayor, were you ready? Oh, sorry to put you on the spot. I thought you put your name up.
Sure, thank you. Thank you to Christine and the team for bringing this forward. I'm wondering if we have looked at some of the items that generate greenhouse gas, like boilers. Some of the condos and some of the apartment buildings have gas-powered boilers. Wouldn't it make sense for us to just adopt new regulations that say if you're replacing the boiler, it has to be electric? And rather than imposing this, just have new standards for any kind of replacement. Have you looked at that?
Yes, so that would be the policy that we would most likely bring to council, is an existing building REACH code that will target the high impact appliances at the time of replacement.
Yeah, because I think, as Kevin pointed out, somebody pays for this. Actually, existing tenants won't pay because the landlords can't raise the rents on the existing tenants, but new tenants would have to pay. Condo owners would have to pay. If we extend this to single-family home owners, they would have to pay, and it is expensive, some of the upgrades that need to be done. I appreciate that you've removed, or you're recommending that we look at removing condos from this, because most condo owners are like single-family home owners, that they're just in a big building. And some of the information in the report still seems problematic to me, because it seems like there's still a lack of awareness of how condos actually operate. HVAC systems, for instance, at least in most buildings I'm aware of, it isn't a building-wide system. It may be for hallways, but individual units have their own individual HVAC system. So each individual homeowner may end up replacing their system or upgrading it. I think it makes, at least if we are going to exempt condos, which I support, because I've heard the concerns raised, I think we need to update our standards for replacement equipment so that when new equipment does have to be brought into a building, it's energy efficient. That was my comment. I'm sure I'll have more after we have discussion.
Vice Mayor, to the point you're making, because I can appreciate the challenge around condominiums, and that's why I sort of is eager to hear from you, somebody who lives this experience. How often are those appliance upgrades made, though?
They're typically made as needed, and all condos are required to have a capital improvement plan that we update every couple of years to make sure we are putting aside enough money so that if the doors need to be replaced, we have adequate resources there. If the boiler or the
elevator,
the roof or the elevator, I was in charge of that project in my building. We had to replace all of the elevator operating equipment. It was a more than $1 million project, but we had been setting aside money each year from our dues to do that. And we have the same thing in our program for the boiler replacement, because usually the useful life of that kind of equipment would probably be about 20 years, and you put aside a certain amount of money for that kind of capital replacement. So all of the buildings are likely going to have to update most of the major equipment. They may not be doing it on the time frame that was originally recommended here.
Okay, that's helpful information. Are there questions on this, Councilmember Erickson?
Thank you so much for this hard work. I know it seems it is very challenging. I know we've gotten a lot of public correspondence about this, and Jennifer sent me a really nice email about single-family homes and why they are excluded. But for the edification of what we have to do tonight, I know that's a next step in this process. Could you just explain to the public why not now, they're not included, and kind of what the process is for that moving forward, so we can tell individuals who are concerned about the economic aspect about this, but the reasons why it's moving in a certain direction?
Yes. So building performance standards, they target the largest buildings in a city, so that since these buildings have the most greenhouse gas impacts. So typically for single family homes and other smaller buildings, there are other policies that cities adopt in order to decarbonize those buildings. One example is existing building REACH codes, which would target the replacement of appliances. So we would, in the future, bring forward REACH codes that would target the single family as well as buildings smaller than 20,000 square feet and not regulated by the building performance standard.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Councilmember Hang, do you have questions? No? I tend to agree with the comments from the member of the public that this is about reaching equity. And this program was one of the hallmarks of the Climate Action Plan that the city approved in 2021, which meant it went through a large amount of community outreach before its passage. And so this conversation has been a part of the city's dialogue for many years now, that we would get to a place where we would be looking at performance standards across buildings of a certain size. So while I know we've had this sort of last minute outreach from many condominium owners about the concerns, I feel like it is an important step that we take in the direction of moving forward towards the city's goals, and we include these condos. I certainly understand the complications of that, and I think the extension of timelines is helpful to continue ongoing education. I appreciate Vice Mayor Heilman's suggestion of appliance upgrades, and I'm not certain that that would be a significant reach towards our goals, especially without knowing the sort of timelines that the many buildings are operating, and perhaps otherwise imposing a certain different timeline. If that was the route we were going, maybe instead we say by this date that has to happen regardless of what else would have been happening, other maintenance schedules. And I think either one of those challenges is going to impose a certain cost challenge onto condominium owners that we've already named as a city. We feel responsible for stepping up in many ways, that there's a financial burden that building owners at large are going to be dealing with as they wrap their heads around these changes. And we are recognizing the way that we as a city may need to play a role in that. So both routes, I think, come back to the place of financial need as we address the climate concerns we have as a city and the way that we are working to address them. So I'm not certain that the maintenance, component updates is the best way. I do think the route that you've put on the table for us tonight is the best way to reach this equitable climate goal that we share as a city. So I'm in support of the ordinance that you've brought forward to us tonight. I don't know if there's any other comments or questions from the council. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'd ask staff to clarify. I'd ask staff to clarify the ordinance that they're bringing forward to us tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor. So, yeah, there is no ordinance before you tonight. Yeah, we're asking for direction. And the first reading of the ordinance does include excluding individual condo units themselves, but regulating the condo open space. So if there be no change directed tonight, we would bring back that ordinance on second reading at the next available council meeting. Along with, if you agree to an extension of the deadlines, because it's taken us a little bit of time for it to actually get to the second reading of the ordinance itself.
I just wanted to respond to the mayor. I think we're all in agreement that implementing the climate action program is important, and reducing greenhouse gases is important. How we get there, I think, is also important. And we can get there by imposing a mandate on buildings and face a fair amount of resistance, or we can get there by working with our building owners and trying to provide incentives, trying to provide guidance and financial assistance. And I would prefer to do it that way rather than imposing something on building owners who are going to then find ways to resist what we're trying to impose. I think most condo owners want to make sure that they're contributing in the same way that everyone else is to our climate action goals. But it makes no sense to me to require a condominium that may have just replaced their water heater or their boiler to now replace it yet again, or to upgrade a roof that they have recently replaced, or to change ducts if they've already done that in the last 3 years. And it just, that to me seems like it's imposing a burden on building owners that seems unfair and not equitable to me.
And the plan that they brought forward of removing the individual units, maintaining the open space requirement, does that find that balance for you?
No, because the individual owners are still responsible for the common areas. So that boiler that has to be replaced, or if all of the ductwork in the building now has to be replaced, that's going to be a burden on all of the individual owners. There is no other entity. That entity, the HOA, is all of the homeowners, and we have to fund it.
So maybe for clarity's sake, Vice Mayor Heilman, what are you recommending that we do right now?
I would recommend that we do the total exemption, which was the alternative that staff recommended, of condo owners, but instead or exclude condo owners entirely from the ordinance, but direct staff to come up with programs that would change our building standards and our replacement standards, so new items would have to be energy efficient, and also direct staff to work at voluntary programs with condos to implement the goals.
Are there, maybe this is, I'll ask staff this question, but I think I know where you're headed to. Are there statewide programs available for rebates that people can get? I'm pretty sure SCE and others like SoCal Gas have a number, Clean Power, our friends at the Clean Power Alliance, have a number of programs that they can get to help homeowners, condo owners, because I understand there was some numbers that via the emails that were coming in, and it did seem like a large impact to some of what they were doing. But we do need to meet our climate goals at the same time, so. I'm just thinking if that's additional direction for the city to come up with.
Well, and I'm also thinking that maybe doing those kind of voluntary programs for the next 3 or 4 years, with the idea that we could look at doing a mandate after that if we haven't moved forward or condos haven't moved forward with upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just go to the city clerk quickly.
Yeah, so the recommendation is to receive and file an update on the proposed ordinance. If we're making an update to the ordinance, this item would have to be reintroduced on first reading. And so is the intent from staff, and I'm sorry for asking this question at this late hour, obviously to come back and reintroduce this on first reading?
If there are changes to the ordinance, yes. If there are no changes, then there'd be no changes. We could bring back the second ordinance. Actually, we are requesting for that extension of time, which if the city attorney believes that's enough to bring it back on first reading.
Can you show me where I was literally just looking for those time limits in the ordinance. I can't find them in the ordinance, so that would help us make that determination. But typically, any changes after a first reading would require a reintroduction. That's a typical rule.
So it's not in the current ordinance because it wasn't in the first that was adopted or passed. I had clarified with the other city attorney that it's a non-substantial edit to the ordinance, since the intention is that through our administrative guidelines we could extend the deadlines, but we wanted to make that explicit in the ordinance.
So it doesn't have a timeline in here now, and you want to add a timeline? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, so the deadline is May 2026 for the first benchmarking. We're requesting that we allow up to an extension up to 120 days for that first benchmark deadline.
Okay.
Which is written into the ordinance.
Yes, explicitly written into the ordinance, even though it is.
And the ordinance doesn't say that we can make changes to the ordinance through a resolution, because that's typically how we would make an administrative change in an ordinance.
This is getting a little murky.
Complicated? Yeah.
So why don't we figure out all the changes that the council wants, and then we can figure out the best way to process it moving forward.
Okay, so I see a motion on the table from Vice Mayor Heilman, and that is to fully exclude the condominiums.
Yes,
Which would be going back on the ordinance and having to look, just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend that we bring this back on first reading, that that condos be excluded, both common areas and individual units, that staff work to develop updated standards for replacement equipment, not just in condos, but all buildings in the city, and that we try to address the issue of condos by targeting them for some of the grant programs and encouraging voluntary updates to help us meet our climate goals.
And there's a second on the table for that.
Is that enough?
Yes, and if we can clarify, we had added an element in there regarding benchmarking for condominiums. Would that be permitted?
Yes, I think
so
the benchmarking
would
is
be
fine.
Okay.
And also in the motion, it would include the extension of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. I do believe it's important that we keep those condos included in the open space, so we'll be voting against it, but I'm very overall supportive of this program and very grateful to staff's time for bringing it. Thank you so much.
And the motion passes 3-1. So we will return with a first reading of that.
We'll go to item E4, the City Playhouse update on site opportunities. Oh, that's it, they're on. Just gave them a freebie. Of homeowners. Thank you to our staff representatives. We'll have you take it away when you're ready.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. Rick Abramson, manager of the Urban Design and Architecture Studio. I'm here with Steve Campbell, who's our Deputy City Manager, and Ryan Christian from the Cumming Group, who's our Owner's Rep Project Management on the project. Tonight before you is the City Playhouse update, looking at site opportunities that have now arisen based on council's direction to enter into negotiations on the former, or the, yeah, I guess we can say former Basics restaurant site. Council originally approved a design on the former Coast Playhouse site, 2-story plus mezzanine structure for a 99-seat playhouse. The negotiations to acquire the property, lease and eventually purchase the property next door opens up a few opportunities that we were asked to study. Moving forward, would it be possible to shift and locate the new playhouse on the corner property? The current design urbanistically sits in an infill condition between buildings, and yet the design sort of tries to have a sort of iconic presence that speaks to a corner. So moving the design over actually could have some positive benefits to consider. We looked at the current property, which is we're calling option A. There would be some modifications that are needed to go forward, just, you know, minor modifications to interiors and an exterior stair. But if the council elects, we could look at moving the playhouse over to the corner, which we're calling option B, the corner playhouse option. The big difference would be the location of the elevators and some of the circulation to make a more corner-appropriate design. In terms of looking at the massing, the original design had a very articulated frame in the front with a sculptural massing. To move to the corner, some of those elements ideally would be retained. So we had this initial study look at the key elements and moving it to the corner, what would happen. And basically, it's the same interior layout of the major spaces, the only difference being there would be more of a prominent corner element and now a fourth exposure that does not exist right now, which would be on Flores Street. It would also allow for potentially a service or freight elevator to move over to Flores, which would change how the servicing of the building would take place in terms of loading things like costumes and sets, but also, you know, the everyday maintenance and janitorial. It would be very helpful to explore that on Flores. But I think in looking at that, the design team and staff agreed that the way Flores is currently configured, it would be difficult to load, so there would have to be some adjustments made. And so the thought is that we could create a bit wider public right-of-way and integrate a loading or drop zone, which could be valuable not only for the servicing of the facility, say in the morning to early afternoon, but then during performances could also be very useful for especially seniors or the disabled who might ride share or be dropped off. So there would be value in that as well. We recognize that Flores is a very tight street, and this is just one option that was raised. I know you did receive some correspondence that was concerned about this, but I don't think there was an understanding of this notched condition. So the staff report sort of lays out some of the pros and cons, some of the implications. It would take a little bit longer, most likely, to move the Playhouse to the corner. There's going to be some public works effort needed and a new facade to be designed, but not significant in terms of the overall time frame. And perhaps some additional cost as well, again, because you have another face of the building and public works primarily. So we're happy to take council's direction tonight about whether there is a desire to move the Playhouse to the corner or leave it where it is, and we're happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one member of the public here to speak in chambers. I don't know that we have anyone online in Zoom, so we'll just have Ed please join us. Ed Holman. And then we'll come to the council for discussion and deliberation.
Yes.
You wanted the image on the screen, Ed?
Yes,
Is that what
please.
you're asking for?
Yes, please.
I just can't run
the timer.
The timer.
We'll time him.
But I can time you. Okay, we'll switch back.
You want it for your reference in your comments.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
understandable. We'll time you.
We can do that.
As you're ready, Ed.
Good evening, council members. Initially, this was not in the staff report that I saw, so I had reservations. I literally live on the street just above 11-8 here. I had concerns that the Flores is too narrow for what you're advising about the drop-off and loading and unloading. I literally measured between the double yellow line and the total surface of the blacktop. It was 12 feet. Delivery trucks are about 8 feet. I measured one. That's not counting the mirrors. So you're leaving about 4.
Yeah, it's a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. Leaving about 4 feet for vehicles to try and get by. And what's not in this image, it doesn't show the entrance to the little strip mall that has Zarape and the cleaners and what else is there? Earth Bar. There's traffic concerns for that because everyone's always trying to turn left into that. With the curb cutout, I think that would be good. I was, again, concerned because that wasn't in the images that I saw to begin with. So if the curb cutout is added to this, I think I would be okay with it. If it's not, you've got a big problem with traffic on the street. I spoke with staff earlier, and they're suggesting maybe at the, I'm not exactly sure if it's on here, but a bump out. Is that what it's called?
Bulb out, bump out.
Curb extension to separate the commercial part of Flores from the residential part of Flores, because we do have parking issues on the street. I'm doing a study right now to try and get 2-hour daytime parking permit exempt on the street because of the employees parking from that business there, and what's now coming on the other end at the bike lane fiasco project is going to put a ton of parking on Flores Street. So those are my concerns about this project. Moving it to there without that notch, I don't think is a very good idea. Thank you very much.
All right. No other members of the public signed up to speak. We'll come to council for discussion. Seeing no one ready to jump in, is anyone ready? No? Okay, well, I was really proud to serve on the subcommittee, ad hoc task force, whatever we called it. It was a joy to be a part of the project planning. And I think had the site been available, we'd even be more excited to have discussed it. It feels like such an obvious move for this project to make. As you said, it is a big feature project. It'll be such a hallmark of the city and our arts functions as we move forward, and think the corner makes sense. And I was concerned, but I'm very pleased that a member of the street has now seen it and understands the vision for traffic flow, as we would not want that to become a problem. And those community meetings were certainly a part of sort of configuring how all the drop-off and pickups and all those things would function for that playhouse space. So I'm really pleased with this design and how it came out. Speaking from the subcommittee or committee itself, to really see it get to this place is very exciting. And as far as the time it will take, I think the work that staff did to recognize this opportunity and ensure we weren't moving forward with a project that would miss this opportunity was certainly the right move. So I'm very appreciative of that. Vice Mayor Heilman, see you.
Yes. You know, I've expressed concerns before about how this was originally the rehab of an existing theater, and it then morphed into a complete new construction, and now we're looking at relocating it down the street. I do think this is the right thing to do, though. It frees up the rest of that block for something in the future, and this seems to be a better location for the theater. And I agree with the public speaker. We can't do this without that cutout, because the traffic there is, it's difficult going to Holloway Cleaners. That parking lot often backs up, and then if there are also people coming to the theater, it's going to be a nightmare at that corner. So I fully support this. I think it's the right thing to do now that we own that corner.
Councilmember Hang.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, staff, for the hard work and presentation. And I want to thank members of the subcommittee. I am in support of option B. It positions the Playhouse as a cultural landmark in a more visible spot on that corner. That, to me, will lead to enhancements of the visitor experience to our cultural landmark in our city. And you know, it reminds me of how we shape our cultural and economic future in our community by building this playhouse. Moving it to a more visible corner highlights that. And I do sort of understand where Mr. Hallman is coming from with regards to the left, turning left into El Zarape. So I can see how that can bring challenges, but I'm fully supportive of moving that to the corner, option B. Thank you.
Councilmember Erickson.
Thank you. And I agree with Ed. That area is very tight, and you can get very, I thought it was less than 12 feet, so thank you for measuring it. And I hope you did it very safely, to say the least, Ed. We don't want, you weren't in your clown outfit from Sunday, so we would not be able to spot. You're in your Tampa Bay Buccaneers outfit, which we love. Nevertheless, sorry, I decompressed. You looked very fun in your outfit. I saw you dancing. Anyways, but it's really important because I believe that area also does some valet at night too. So there's a lot of traffic that goes in and out of there. Hopefully they'll be using our automated lot or something else. But I agree with my colleagues in moving this over. This is a dream that all cities can engage in with the Playhouse. I mean, to be able to do this at a time right now. And I want to thank the mayor for her service on that subcommittee. And if she says it's good to go and she sat through all those meetings and did all of that, then I'm going to be in full concurrence with that. And thank you, Ed, for making sure that those points were made up to the public. So I'm in full support as well. I'm happy to make a motion or second something.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
And just to clarify the record, this is for option B,
Option
correct?
B.
Perfect, thank you. See, Ed had the same question.
Ed knew.
That's right.
That's funny.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. We can move on to new business. We have a few items that have been continued. So not F1.
Tabled.
F2, that's correct. The addressing unpermitted and unlicensed sidewalk vendors. I do see that we had one member of the public signed up to speak, although I no longer see him here in council chambers. So Councilmember Hang, we'll turn this over to you to present your item.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, esteemed colleagues. I'm here to present item F2, addressing unpermitted and unlicensed sidewalk vendors. This item, colleagues, this item is about something pretty simple, but deeply important. Keeping our community safe, protecting public health, and ensuring fairness for everyone who does business in West Hollywood. For the past year, the city has received numerous complaints of unpermitted and unlicensed sidewalk food vendors causing public health, safety, and other concerns when operating on the sidewalks of our community. As we are all aware, every permitted food business is required to go through a process to obtain their business license, which includes passing the Los Angeles County Public Health inspections to ensure sanitation and safety protocols are followed. These requirements exist to protect people from getting sick, to prevent food contamination, and to also make sure that the food being served is safe to consume. When a sidewalk vendor operates without a health permit or city license, that poses very real health and safety risks, not just to the people who buy the food, but also to the broader public. On top of that, unpermitted sidewalk vendors have been observed and complained about setting up in prohibited areas and blocking sidewalks, which create pedestrian safety hazards. And I believe our own Captain Fanny Lapkin said tonight that some have been seen selling alcohol illegally to people in the community, including one public commenter said to minors. Right now, the city's enforcement tools are limited due to changes made in state law, which only allow for civil fines to be issued, which are often ignored by unpermitted street vendors. This item simply asks staff to come back with options that might include impounding unpermitted food carts, restricting certain locations, or other legal tools that strengthen our ability to protect public health, public safety, and the fairness of our business environment. This is not about criminalizing vending or punishing people. It is about creating a level playing field and ensuring that everyone operates under the same standards that keep our communities safe. West Hollywood prides itself on being welcoming, inclusive, and entrepreneurial, but those values have to be paired with accountability and public safety. I respectfully ask for your support on this item so we can take a thoughtful, balanced approach that our residents, supports our businesses, and keeps our public spaces safe and accessible for everyone. And colleagues, staff is here to answer any questions
Thank you. I know we have one member of the public signed up in Zoom, so why don't we go there and then we'll come back to questions here.
Genevieve, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council members. Genevieve Morrill, President and CEO for the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you so much for bringing this item forward. We're here tonight to express our support for both the council members' item to explore these amendments to the municipal code to address the unpermitted and unlicensed sidewalk vendors. We recognize and support the role that licensed sidewalk vendors have in the community and the economy. but the growing number of unlicensed and unpermitted vendors, especially during weekend and evening hours, has created real challenges. Even though we have a state law, we still need to require health permits, business licenses, and make sure that ADA issues and having that breadth of the sidewalk available and all the health risks that are happening. We really are appreciative of you looking at the fairness and the community standards that that you looking into this would allow. We need a thoughtful approach, one that both protects the public safety and supports compliant businesses while still respecting the state law. Providing staff and additional tools for enforcement, such as ability to impound equipment or restrict vending in certain areas, will help maintain a safe and vibrant and equitable environment for everyone. We've seen the videos of these vendors. It is quite atrocious what's happening out there. We do know, after talking to our ambassador program and our sheriff and code compliance, that when our code compliance officers walk by, they do the vendors do leave. They do recognize that law enforcement is coming. We also have heard that there's a lot of gang activity going on with these vendors. And so we're very, very concerned about what it is imposing in terms of a health issue and public safety issue to our community, and not just that, but our economic vibrance in our brick and mortar businesses that are there in the community. So we really thank you for addressing this. It couldn't come sooner. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't think we have any other commenters signed up to speak, so we'll come back to council for discussion. Vice Mayor Heilman.
I wanted to thank Councilmember Hang for bringing this forward. I fully support it. The only thing I might want to add is that this is a problem that state law has created, and we might want to engage our representatives in Sacramento and let them know the problems that we're facing, and I'm sure other communities are facing too, so that they could look at perhaps revising or amending state law to make it easier for us to do our job.
Councilmember Erickson. Sure.
Thank you. Danny, could you come on down, and maybe Fanny, just for the fun of it, because I love you so much. I always love having you. A couple of my first questions are, while you sit down, and Paul, apparently we did this before, Paul Nichols, when do you stop serving food at beaches? So you serve until... 4? Okay, thank you. Hi, Danny. So can you walk me through kind of an average incident with a street cart vendor? They're set up outside, let's just say Motherlode, right? So you go there and you notice something happening. Can you kind of walk me through? Because I read about it and I hear your reports and I read emails from business members and the public, but can you kind of, well, I've said this 5 times, walk us through what you can do now, maybe versus what you could have done before with the state law?
Sure, absolutely. Before we would attempt to make contact with the sidewalk vendor, if we were able to acquire their identification or some form of identification, then we would issue a warning notice. And then we would keep track of that, and then if there was a subsequent issue with that same vendor after we provided a warning, then we would issue a notice to appear in court. So it's essentially a misdemeanor citation, and then that individual would have to appear in court and kind of go through that process. Currently, as a result of state law, that removed the ability to issue notice to appear citations, and now it only allows code enforcement officers the ability to issue administrative citations, which are civil fines. But in addition to that, it's very difficult for the code enforcement officers to even make contact with sidewalk vendors that are unpermitted, because when they do see folks in a uniform, code enforcement staff or sheriff's deputies, then they will evade. They know, because there is an inability to kind of address that from a court perspective, that you're pretty limited in terms of being able to hold anybody accountable for not being able to produce some form of identification.
And do most of the individuals that you encounter, are they English speaking, or is English their second language, or is there a communication barrier?
It varies. It depends on the code enforcement officer. If you have somebody that is bilingual and they know that, then typically it's been my personal experience that the individual will be able to converse and communicate in English, but you do have a number of individuals that will only speak in Spanish.
Great. This was a state law passed in 2019?
2018, and then it went into effect in January of
I remember
2019.
Councilmember Vice Mayor Heilman when you adopted the update, so I'm trying to go back. And then Fanny and Danny, rhymes. How many complaints or actual, I don't want to say criminal, but like acts are you getting? I mean, I know that we get the one email from that guy all the time, which is what it is, but how many on an average basis? Like, code is a complaint-based system, right? So when code gets a complaint, they have to go out. So how often, average, of course, are you saying like weekly you have to go out and deal with hot dog, or sorry, whatever, street vendors, it's mostly hot dogs, but like, well, it smells like hot dogs, but you know, what do you have to do? I mean, how many do you get?
I'd say it's every weekend. Okay. Every weekend we are having reports of unpermitted street vending that is occurring. You know, it could be from anywhere up to 5 different individuals that are reporting to code enforcement. That has kind of tapered off a little bit recently, I'd say within the last 3 months, and that is due to the fact that we've been scheduling code enforcement operations, right, on overtime. So just adding additional officers that are coming in the evening, working with sheriff's deputies, et cetera. So that's kind of curtailed a little bit of that, because I know the folks that are reporting that are within the Rainbow District are seeing that presence. But it's really not effective. You know, the tools that the code enforcement have are very limited. So.
And Fanny, are they selling drugs? Are they selling booze? Are they knifing people? Like, are they engaging in criminal activity that is being led to believe? Like, are there serious criminal reports from street vendors? Because every time I see someone go up to a street vendor, they're drunk and they want to buy a hot dog. And then they walk along their merry way. You can pay in Venmo, all of these things. So I'm just wondering, like, is there some big ring of crime happening around street vendors that we're not tracking to up here?
No, the only complaint has been the illegal selling of alcohol, and that's been the only criminal aspect attached to that that we've received. But like Danny mentioned, we do get the complaints of the street vendors every weekend.
Okay, those are my questions for.
I have one for you before you go sit down, though. You mentioned earlier tonight that this weekend the operation at the or outside in the Rainbow District was in response to some concerns related to street vending. You said you didn't detain or arrest any street vendors.
No.
So what I'm hearing, though, is that there's already tools that allow for LASD to go out and engage with street vendors in a way that would address illegal concerns to that extent.
And it is, and it's all based on complaint based, because any time that we do arrest, it would be depending on the crime and see if the deputies actually see it. So one of the biggest complaints that we received is of somebody selling alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So, and other crimes that we have not seen. So that's why on Friday that was part of the operation, to try and identify with the undercover units to see what other illegal activity was happening.
Sure. And I mean, selling selling alcohol on the streets, especially to minors, is certainly something we don't want to see happen. So I appreciate that on a complaint basis you've responded in that way, and lucky we didn't see anything happening that night. Thank you both. I think that's the question. Do you have anything?
I'm sorry, May. So one of the options in the staff report, besides impounding the carts, is to create a zone, if I'm not mistaken, or zones where they can't sell stuff. Is that in violation of state law? Or maybe the author of the item can talk about, are we allowed to do that?
We are currently, you can regulate time, place, and manner as it relates to sidewalk vending to be in compliance with state law. We do have existing limitations in areas that would preclude folks, right, from being able to street vend. I'll use major events as an example. So we've established currently in our ordinance, so like during Pride and Halloween that's just around the corner within that street closure, you're not allowed to street vend at all. And so anything that you see that's operating in there is actually prohibited. So I think what the item is suggesting is for staff to revisit that, take a look at that. There have been some additional amendments that have been made to state law, and so just kind of revisiting that and seeing where that goes.
What is the staff time related to this? So let's say we pass this, right? I mean, I enjoy going out and having a drink with friends, friends on the council, all the things. I love it. I'm calling my friend, and I understand this is a really important issue, but I have seen you actually talk to people, they go away, and then an hour later, I should not be out that late. I should be at home in bed, praying or whatever I should do in my spare time, but they're back. And so I'm just like, what is this real commitment of staff time when code is already on weekends and the sheriff's, of course, really stretched?
Yeah. In terms of addressing if that's something that the city, considered, I think the first step would be for us to work with the city attorney's office, for us to take a look at if there are any sort of alternative options from a legal perspective, again, to make sure that we're in compliance with state law, and then returning back to city council for any considerations, if there were potential amendments to the code, et cetera, and then kind of going from there. But right now we are, I'd say, exhausting at least. We have 2 code enforcement officers that are working about 8-hour shifts late into the evening hours. And so you have about 16 hours just this past weekend, 32 or so that were spent. And so we've been doing that almost every weekend, for the past 3 months. So there is a considerable amount of time that's being exhausted currently. But if there are ways as a part of the benchmarking and working with the city attorney's office to make potential amendments, then we would have to take a look at that and more than likely schedule an operation in conjunction with the sheriff's department, similar to what we're doing now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilmember Hing. Thank you. Councilmember Hing, you put your name up to speak.
My apologies, Mayor. I think I would like to see this item tabled for the full council, since Councilmember Meister is not here. So that would be what I would like to request. Thank you.
Sure. Vice Mayor Heilman, you also had some comments.
Well, I was just going to clarify, because you had asked about illegal activity, and I think the intention of the item was to target those who were unlicensed and unpermitted. That by itself is illegal activity. Sure. I think you were referring to other illegal activity as part of it. If Councilmember Hang wants to continue this item until Councilmember Meister is back, I'm fine with that.
What I want to say before that, the county has suspended its enforcement of public health in light of the immigration raids, because it feels like an unnecessary expenditure of resources at a time when the predominant operators who are among the immigrant community are already in extreme circumstances. So I would ask for some consideration around the timing of bringing this back if tabling is what is requested, given the county's acknowledgement of the extreme circumstances that the immigrant community is already living in, and what message this is in fact signaling to that community. Taking more measures, more of staff time, more of staff resources to put something out to the immigrant community behind this, I think is a message that I certainly heard in this item, and I wanted to make sure it was addressed tonight, as it's a conversation that was started. And if we're going to consider continuing it for a future date, then we can do that. Councilmember Hang.
Thank you. Well, as a child of immigrants, as a child of refugee immigrants, I completely understand. But this isn't about immigration at all. This is about public health and public safety. This is exactly what this is, only what this is about. If we have operators in our city who are paying lots of monies and fees to follow the rules, why should they be burdened? Why should they be overburdened with the rules when other people aren't following them? You know, that's kind of where I'm coming from. So we have operators here that they got their permits. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but yet other people are not able to do it.
Perhaps this item could come back with a pathway for a permitting fee reduction in cost, because this doesn't include anything about pathways for equitable operation. It includes enforcement mechanisms, which is what the immigrant community is facing and why the county has pulled back. So I appreciate where you're coming from with this and that clarity and intent, but I do think that if there are issues around fairness, we could pursue that through a different pathway through city process. That would include reduction of permit fees, education for these vendors to be able to move through those city pathways. There's a lot of other outreach that could be explored, and that's not what was the intent of this item.
I believe the intent of this item was to direct staff to explore options to come back. Nothing is being decided tonight. What will be decided is when the 5 of us look at what staff come back with for this item. So that is the intent of this. There was, beyond that, there was no other intent.
Terrific. So we'll table this tonight. Oh, sure. Councilmember Erickson, and then Vice Mayor Heilman, you're good? Okay, Councilmember Erickson will be the final word.
Thank you. And I want to thank my colleague. I understand this is a big issue that people are trying to really get an understanding and a better handle on. I don't believe the argument that businesses on the Strip are losing millions of dollars to hot dog vendors. If you are losing that amount of money to hot dog vendors and street vendors, then we have to talk about a lot of other stuff. However, working for a Latino immigration organization, I in good conscience cannot vote for this in its current form. Because, and I would share what my colleague is saying, and I know that I think the intent is trying to get to the good space, and I'm happy to continue the conversation, is to ultimately try to get us to a place where we could maybe be a model city for this policy. Because I think we want to be a part of a solution and not continue to a problem. We all agree that it is an issue, but I think when you look at the idea of impounding someone's cart as a potential issue, that's their livelihood. I don't know what the cost is to get something out of impounding. Maybe that could come back with that information. And the county did take away those rules and declare a state of emergency because of some of the issues. And I know firsthand that people who do have street vending businesses, this is their only livelihood right now, and they're going out with their livelihoods at risk. I don't think that was I get it. I'm not trying to go there with you, but I think I would like to find a solution, but I would like to find a pathway to a solution that decrims the idea of taking away livelihood and promotes education, accountability, and for the better part of what is a model policy that we can use, and statewide action. I think that we can get to a place where the city can put out the message saying, you want to be a sidewalk vendor? Sorry. Sidewalk vendor, street vendor, my bad. You can be a sidewalk vendor too. A street vendor in this way, do it the right way in West Hollywood. I think it's the same thing that we did with the massage worker ordinance many, many years ago, going into and rolling up our sleeves and doing that hard work. And so I'm willing to work with you on that. I'm willing to make sure that we have the organizations that represent and make sure street vendors are equitably heard, and I'm happy to help in any way with that as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Hank, we'll let you have the final word on your item.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I think my colleagues up here, I appreciate what you're saying, but you're expressing kind of concerns without any actual answers in sight. You don't know what staff's going to come back with. For all you know, staff could come back with a solution saying, after 30 citations, then we will impound the cart. Or maybe an impound the cart may not even be an option. Just because it's listed in the staff report, it doesn't mean that that would be what staff is recommending. This is to just direct staff to come back with options for the full council to decide, not just me. It's going to be 5 people to decide what we feel is fair, what we feel is right, with what staff brings back to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We should probably do a motion to table, if that's what we'd like. Do you want to, Are we tabling it to a date certain, Councilmember Hang? Do you want it to come back at the next meeting, or?
May I ask, Councilmember Hang, because I hear what you're trying to say, could staff work to get you some preliminary, we've done this in the past for items like this that require code fixes. Could staff come with some high-level ideas versus getting into the, I mean, they're not going to need to hire a consultant, get a study, you know, I won't make a broadband joke, it's too soon. But like, you know, they won't have to do that. I feel like the staff report, and I feel like we're all trying to say, like, how can we make sure the information is provided? If that was possible, I know it's tabled, but I would love to see other pathways of things mentioned up here in that way, to only make the staff report better.
Yeah, so based on the comments tonight, we could do some very high level looking at what options are out there now, if the council member wants to include that in the staff report that comes back. But because it hasn't been approved, I don't want to have staff spend a lot of time getting that type of detail. But we can get some high level options.
And would you be able to bring that back on the 3rd as the council member is
I think
asking,
if we're
or
gonna
a
do
little bit
that,
more
then it
time?
would be more time, so probably the 17th, the second meeting in November.
I would go ahead and move to table with the direction that David has suggested, and I'll leave it to Councilmember Hang to determine when he feels it's appropriate to bring it back.
Thank you, colleagues. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, so there is a motion from Vice Mayor Heilman, seconded from Mayor Byers, to table the item with direction to staff to do some preliminary looks into this and return on November 17th, or a date that Councilmember Hang is comfortable with. Thank you so much. We will start voting. And the motion passes 4-0.
We have one more item. We are on item F4, our final item on the agenda, the reconceptualization and restoration of a music festival on the Sunset Strip. This is Vice Mayor Heilman and Councilmember Hang's item. I'll turn it to Vice Mayor Heilman first.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everyone who stayed this late. This item is recommending that we bring back the Sunset Strip Music Festival. The idea is that it would be different from the previous festival in that there would be a series of events along Sunset to reactivate the Sunset's vibrancy, that we would culminate the program with a music festival that would involve a street closure. The idea behind the festival is that we did have a very successful music festival up there previously, but unfortunately financial difficulties caused us to end that festival. Unlike Christopher Street West or the Pride celebration or Halloween, the city really didn't put substantial resources into the music festival on Sunset. So this item is recommending that we ask our staff to look at providing resources using funding from our arts and advertising program up on Sunset. It also recommends that staff negotiate with a festival producer, somebody who has experience with the Sunset Strip. It could be the previous producer or somebody similar who has experience with the Sunset Strip. And I'm available to answer any questions because I have a cold tonight and I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're doing great. Thank you. Councilmember Hang, did you want to jump in and add anything? Is it a co-sponsor?
Thank you. Yeah, I jumped at the chance to co-sponsor this with our Vice Mayor because I believe that this is a chance to revitalize the Sunset Strip. For many years, the Sunset Strip has, what I feel, has been neglected. Pride every year, Pride last year had $7.5 million commitment from the city. Halloween had $1.5 million commitment from the city. The Sunset Strip really hasn't had any commitment to the city. If we're gonna talk about equity across all districts of the city. And if we're going to talk about saving our businesses, our hotels, our restaurants, our retail on Sunset Boulevard, I wholeheartedly believe this festival is the vessel, is the vehicle to begin to make that happen. We have an opportunity to seize the moment right now and bring back to West Hollywood what Sunset Boulevard once was. I am tired of seeing news articles about closed restaurants, about failed businesses on Sunset, and this is a chance for us to rewrite that narrative. So this is a chance for us as a council to invest into the Sunset Strip and to make this city a continued success.
We have one speaker signed up in Zoom. I don't think we have anybody in council chambers.
Genevieve, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. Genevieve Morrill, serving right now as the Executive Director for the Sunset Strip Business Improvement District. We are in strong support of this. I cannot thank Councilmember Heilman and Hang enough for this item, and we hope the rest of you support this. It is frankly about time. I served with the Sunset Strip on their board, the previous board, during the music festival. It was a significant frustration that the city never really significantly invested in the festival, but as Heilman said, as Councilmember Hang said, invested in Pride and Halloween significantly. We are just over the moon. We had a board meeting today with the Sunset Strip bid, and we talked about this and just in great support. I know our chair, Brett LaCherry, sent a letter in of support. This is going to really go far, and I agree with Heilman's Vice Mayor Heilman's assessment of reimagining it, of what it would look like in terms of a street sort of festival of music and song and food and festivities on the Sunset Strip. This would boost our local economy and return not only the honor of the past, but help us reignite the energy and foot traffic along the Strip. We're especially pleased to see the recommendation to partner with the qualified promoters who have deep ties to our legendary venues, the Roxy, the Whiskey, and the Go-Go, and the Viper Room, and to leverage existing city resources creatively, such as the arts and advertising program. I also want to just mention that for years we hosted the Sunset Strip Billboard Award. It might be a significant addition to recognize the creative billboard policy that you've created up there on Sunset that might tie in nicely with this. But it's exactly the kind of collaboration that strengthens our business community and keeps West Hollywood at the forefront of cultural creativity and innovation. And we just thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Genevieve. Your time is up.
This effort.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Mayor, and I apologize. I also wanted to note we did get a valuable comment from Elise Eisenberg about ensuring that we have the residential community involved in the planning, and I took that very much to heart, and I think Elise is absolutely right. We need to make sure that the neighborhood around is involved in the planning and execution of any festival. So I'm available, and Councilmember Hang is available to answer any questions or concerns you might have.
Terrific. Thank you both. Councilmember Erickson.
Laura, Nick, friends from Development and Economic Development, come on down. You're on The Price is Right. Cleo, come on down for fun too. Just because I love you. I made Fanny do it, so I just love seeing you two. Meg can stay. We love Meg. Yvonne, we'll give you a pass tonight. Thank you so much. So I'm generally in support of this item. I just have a couple of questions and concerns regarding the funding mechanisms for it. Of course, we want to see the Sunset Strip revitalized in whatever way. And Cleo, you were here when we were doing the Sunset Strip. That's why I made you come down, right? You were
in events at that time still, right?
I had just transitioned to
Okay,
events
there
through
you go.
recreation. 2009 was the start.
So, yeah, thank you. So, Laura, I think you might recall 2 or so months ago, I sent you an email saying, I'd like to do the Sunset Strip Music Festival again, and you told me no. It was nicer than that, but you essentially said the bid doesn't want to do it and we're pursuing other opportunities. Now, because of our records retention law, 30 days, I no longer have access to said email. That's actually true. So, people can understand that I did try to start doing something like this. Can you walk me through a little bit more of your much more eloquent, nicer answer than just no, have a great day, Councilmember Erickson?
Certainly. So good evening, Mayor, council members. Laura Byrie, Director of Economic Development for the City of West Hollywood. And ironically, I too was here during the days of the Sunset Strip Music Festival.
That's right. No,
I know,
sorry.
it was so many years ago. It's hard to remember. Here we are again. The Sunset Strip Business Improvement District, that is currently the entity that serves the Sunset Strip businesses up on Sunset, they have recently hired JJLA as an event production company, and they are working on various events to create excitement and energy along the Sunset Strip. They also hired Lucky Break PR as their public relation firm, and so when we were beginning those conversations prior to, those were the entities that they had hired to start really creating that energy and excitement. At the time, they did not have funding mechanisms to do a large-scale music festival. As you recall from the times of the music festival, when it happened in its final year, it found itself in a very precarious financial situation, and we'll just leave it at that.
That's a nice way to put it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Nick, hello. Also, it's lovely meeting your family on Saturday, by the way. And so, my big concern with this is that it wants to take, I'm going to say it wrong, MEMA funds, but the Billboard, Moving Image, Media Arts, but it's like Moving Image Media, MEMA, right?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, I was like, wait, am I seeing acronyms? I'm seeing a lot of things, but the use of MEMA funds in a different way. Can you walk me through the larger implications for that? Does that have implications on development agreements moving forward? And what's the actual impact to the arts budget as a result if we take away these funds? Or not take away these funds, I'm sorry, use portions of these funds.
So I would love to respond to that. Actually, I think my colleague Laura.
Well, then Laura,
better
back at
suited
it.
to respond to that since her
she walked in
department
right
includes
an
the
hour
arts
ago.
division.
She knew what she was going to be here for. So there we go.
Good evening again. All right, back at it. Here we go. So with regard to the Moving Image Media Arts, so that is part of the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program. Our billboard operators that are part of the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program, so all the different acronyms that we know of, known as SAP, they participate in development agreements. And in those development agreements, it identifies a percentage of time in which they are dedicating to producing and exhibiting digital art. That's known as the Moving Image Media Art Program, also known as MEMA. Those development agreements do have a caveat in them in that we can make other recommendations for use of that time. However, the program and its intent was known as the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program. And we have committed contracts through that program into 2026 already with artists that have been identified and committed to being able to exhibit their art.
Great. So how much are we talking in this item specifically would be reallocated to help pay for this? I mean, it's a significant investment to do a festival. I don't think we want to take away $1 million of these funds, and I know it calls for private sponsorships, but what is the scale? I don't have the numbers for me on this in terms of a scale for MEMA funds. Oh, city attorney or some city manager?
Can I try to answer
yeah,
this?
please,
First
yeah.
of all, we don't get funds from the NEMA program. We get time.
Yes.
And so the concept was we could talk to the companies to see, rather than taking the full 10 minutes an hour that we're entitled to, we only take 8. And we allow them to sell the additional 2. But this that's not the only source of funds we could use for this. I'm not committed to that component of it. If we can find funds from our reserves to support this, I'm fine with that. I just thought since most of those billboards are on Sunset, this is a Sunset music and cultural program, wouldn't it be a great idea to use the revenue from those Sunset billboards, not the revenues, but potential revenues from them to support this?
Thank you. That helps. Claire, did you want to add anything? Okay, David's like, no, I do not. So I want to go back to 2014. So I worked all these events as an intern, as many remember. The Lincoln Park one was quite lovely. What year was that? 2013, 2014? I don't was it? John might know. But anyways, we had 19,000 people in 2014. Why did the event go bye-bye? That's a good number. I mean, and I did not pre-ask you any of these questions, so you're being put on the spot, so I apologize.
Do you want me to take that one? Yes, because thank you. And I was going to defer to Laura, as my purview, as you know, is directly related to logistics.
Vice Mayor, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would just add the reason that they weren't financially successful, they sold a lot of tickets. There was no problem with ticket sales. But the cost of putting on the festival and the cost of getting sort of world-class talent there exceeded the revenues that were being generated from sponsorship and ticket sales. They did get sponsorship, but it wasn't enough to cover all of the costs.
Great. And maybe this question is actually for Cleo now. We do not have a direct sponsorship type of policy, right? Like alcohol, stuff like that they couldn't go after for sponsorships for this type of festival?
The producer
Or
secured?
I remember we had this conversation about Pride a few months ago, and one of the it was the ice rink conversation about sponsorships and how we could get long-term sponsorship deals. We don't have a policy that really allows event producers to do that, or we have more restrictions on them. And if I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong.
I think they were trying to get a sort of a global sponsorship for a series of events rather than an individual event. That's what we don't particularly allow.
That's helpful.
The individual producers related to both Pride and Halloween, they are able to seek sponsorship. The city itself, to my understanding, doesn't have a full sponsorship policy or a division that focuses solely on sponsorship. But it is possible outside of the city at this moment. And yes, Laura might be able to speak more to that as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add, so I think the relationship that is being suggested here is different than Pride and Halloween. In those events, we hire the producer, so it is a city event, and then sponsorships are split between us and the producer. I believe the intention of this item is we would work with someone who has experience doing music festivals, and they would put on the music festival. We wouldn't be hiring them, we'd be partnering with them. And so they would get their own sponsors and do that, and the city's portion would be the infrastructure, closing the streets and all the things, public safety, all those things that go with it.
Great. So I'll just add my comments and I'll let the mayor go. Sorry, I've been taking up a lot of time. I'm sure we'll get a public comment that. I always do that. So looking forward to those comments tomorrow. I guess I generally support this item. I don't want to use MEMA funds for it, so if my colleagues are willing to remove that off the table or be flexible with what we're doing, I'm actually willing to make investments from city funds because we do have that capability, and I want to see this event or the Sunset Strip thrive in this way. And it was nice to see some of the hotels and other places on Sunset actually support it, the Addition being one of them because it's right there in the corner where a lot of this high impact was. But I can't take away money from the arts. Not saying we're doing that. I know it's a rhetoric thing. But at this moment, if we're not moving in that direction, I will fully support this. But for the time being, and I want to support this because I think it's a really great item, and I would love to see this come back because I wanted it to come back 2.5 months ago, but Laura told me no. And so, but that's kind of where I'm at currently right now, and I'll shut up and turn it to the mayor.
Thank you. This is a really exciting concept and idea. I think there's been a lot of thinking around how to revitalize Sunset Strip. this feels like an obvious way to go, back in time, something that worked, to bring it back in a better, stronger way. I have some concerns, though, not just regarding what would feel like a departure from our commitment to that MEMA program and the full time that we would give to artists. So I do also think that this requires a different sort of funding stream. But my concern is over timing. Fall 2026 is aggressive. We're already in fall 2025. This council has tried our best to ensure that the priorities going forward are bound to a budget commitment, that we are working in a time that makes sense. And fall 2026, in my mind, just does not make sense for something. And I think there's something painful about realizing it may take some more time to get there when there's a lot of urgency and excitement around this. But next summer already, we have a number of commitments related to the World Games coming with the World Cup. We're moving through a 3-year plan through the Arts and Economics Division around a number of really incredible programming that will activate the city as a whole. We already have a commitment this year to move forward with the ice rink, and I know that that was about a 3-year commitment to really ensure that things could go off. So, next year that would be happening. Fall 2026 is already the timeline that the city is opening up and thinking about Halloween. So there's some concern I have about not only ensuring it happens in 2026, but in that season of fall specifically. I'll say I have been having discussions and also trying to think about what could activate the Sunset Strip. And there are a number of different points of consideration that I've been trying to make that would look past the 28 games, leveraging the sort of excitement that we're having as a city with bringing the world stage here and making sure that something could happen on the other side of those games that would revitalize the Strip, that would really connect all the dots between some of our missing economic engines. What I know is that in the winter time on the Strip, there are the hotels are at their lower points, so there is sort of a down point in the hotel capacity. So something not in the fall, but rather winter timeline could make more sense on the Strip and bring out more visitors to that time. So that was one point of consideration. And then I think the idea that the Sunset Strip is not only known for its music history, but also its billboards, there is some sort of interplay here. So I like where we're going with the music and the festival, the activation of the venues, the use of the pocket spaces that exist along the Strip, shutting down the street as a whole. And this isn't a surprise or a secret, many folks know, but I've been asking around about the concept of a New Year's Eve on Sunset Strip. Something that would fully activate the billboards, activate a pedestrian plaza, utilize this feeling of activity in a different way. And I think an anchor like a music festival that revitalizes that rock and roll history and really brings it all together, and also could be displayed and powered through the night, is where I would lean. So rather than having competing items, I know I've also been talking to this for a while, I thought I would just sort of throw out there that idea. But there's just no way we should ask in the next year to think about a New Year's Eve on the Sunset Strip. I do think it's a multi-year plan that we would start needing to put in place in order to do it well and safely and in the full West Hollywood way. So that's where I would want to go. I couldn't support this plan as it currently is for the reason that Councilmember Erickson laid out around the funding not being totally clear. The timing is truly my bigger concern with how much we're already taking on as a city and wanting to do this well. And I recognize that this was about sort of partnering and handing off, but we know we want to stay involved, and it really comes back down to the resources we have to give to do things well. So that's the direction I want to head, but I know this isn't my item, and I don't want to completely derail us now.
Did she tell you no too?
It sounds like there is support for the concept
Yes.
generally, that there are concerns about the funding, which again, I'm perfectly fine with other source of funding and directing our staff to look at other sources of funding. And the other concern I'm hearing is around the timing and whether we can do this in a time that we can get it done and done properly, which I believe we can if we start now. But whether the right time slot is in the fall or maybe later in the year. And again, I think we can give that direction to our city staff to look at identifying a qualified producer, look at other sources of funding, and look at what the appropriate time frame is for this to happen. And I also agree with the idea of activating the billboards, and I've had conversations with one of them about possibly being a sponsor of the festival, and they were certainly interested in having that conversation. So I'm comfortable with all of those concerns that have been addressed. So if you're comfortable, I can make a motion to direct our staff to move forward with looking at this, with looking at identifying a qualified producer, looking at options for funding, and looking at the appropriate timing for this event.
My concern that wasn't addressed in your list, which I appreciate, was the timing of it happening next year. And part of what we've made a commitment as a council is that items that come forward would be included in staff's work plans for the next budget cycle. So feasibly, we couldn't be bringing back something that would move a fall 2026 festival forward until the next budget update. Staff wouldn't start on that work until it is budgeted for in the next budget update. And so that's where my concern around feasibility and timing come in. And that's just to stay with the commitment we've been trying to make of not overthrowing priorities as exciting as a music festival at staff in about less than a year's notice.
Well, I guess my response to that is I don't think we can wait with Sunset. Sunset is really moribund right now, and if we don't do something now, we're losing the energy that we could have up there, and we're facing more businesses closing. So I understand your concerns, and they're quite legitimate, but I don't think we can wait.
Councilmember Erickson, I saw Councilmember Hanks in the queue.
You go. You were.
Thank you. So the way I look at this is, like I said, we invest heavily in Pride, and both Pride and Halloween. The investment in the Sunset Strip is not equitable. Should we look at this festival through the same lens, right? And I think the mayor mentioned the new budget cycle. The new budget cycle happens when? February, I believe?
The next full year budget cycle would be starting July 1 of 2026. Mid-year happens in February of the current budget.
Understood. I mean, I am in agreement with the vice mayor. If we push this any longer, I don't want to see any more businesses close on Sunset. I'm not suggesting that might happen, but you just never know. The state of our economy is perilous right now, and our community leaders in the chamber and in the bid have been sounding the fire alarm for Sunset Boulevard for many, many, many years, and we have a chance to make that happen right now, and I think we should still seize the moment. Thank you.
Councilmember Erickson?
I hear us all wanting to get to some type of agreement, but with regards to what the mayor said, the next budgetary cycle will be 27-28, right, in February?
That's the mid-year for 26.
Mid-year 26.
We'll get an update, and then
to what you were talking about.
We'll start the process for 27.
I do, having done events, I do understand the serious time commitment. I don't want to commit to a date certain at the moment because I don't feel like that's fair to staff at this point. But I would like to find a way to give, if the mayor would go along with it, is there a way in which we could do some type of pop-up in some way event at the end of 2026? I don't know what that looks like. And then plan for a larger festival in 2027.
Vice Mayor?
Maybe we should hold this until Councilmember Meister is back.
Sure.
Sure, whatever the council wants to do.
Okay.
I'm going to move that we table this until the next meeting.
Okay, our best decisions are made in fives. Thank you all so much.
Do you need a motion?
Please. And the motion on the floor is to table the item to November.
Terrific. We are voting.
And the motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. We are at the end of our agenda. Very modified agenda tonight. We are on excluded consent, and we don't have anything that was pulled for that. So we're in our final period of public comment. City Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for this final public comment period?
I don't have anyone.
No one on
No
Zoom
one on
either.
Zoom either? Okay. So we can move on to councilmember comments and meeting attendance reports. Which of us would like to begin?
I attended numerous events throughout the city. Thank you very much to the staff at the Halloween Carnival, Youth Halloween Carnival this past week. It was wonderful and truly just amazing. And every year it gets better and better. So I couldn't disagree. I couldn't agree more with what members of the community were saying. And a wonderful job to the events team on AIDS Walk. And that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember, Vice Mayor, you're preparing yourself?
Yes, I have nothing to report. I did want to report that I've been in touch with Councilmember Meister. As we know, she had a problem with her eye that needed to be attended to, and she is getting appropriate medical attention. So hopefully all will be well, and she'll be fine tomorrow.
Thank you for the report. Councilmember Hing.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as my meetings and attendance were concerned, I attended the art reception for the unveiling of a new mural entitled Calavera Elementos by artist Scoot at Skybar at the Mondrian Hotel. I attended the AIDS Walk, Los Angeles, with my colleagues here on the dais. I attended the West Hollywood Youth Halloween Carnival, and I attended the National Prep Day celebrations. And I'm wishing Councilmember Meister a speedy recovery.
Thank you. My attendance, I attended the La Casa Renter Protections and Homelessness Prevention Committee meeting, the regular board meeting of La Casa, as well as the Human Capital Committee of La Casa. It was a lot of meetings for La Casa. I attended the West Side City Council of Governments, the National League of Cities LGBTQ caucus meeting, and of course the League of California Cities annual conference. I was sworn in as the president of the LGBTQ caucus at the League of California Cities, and I also served on 3 different panels throughout the conference: the crisis communications, cities support for trans community, as well as childcare as critical infrastructure. My comments were also include the AIDS Walk. It was a really terrific morning being out with so many people celebrating the 40th. Also wanted to congratulate my colleagues on their recognition. You're welcome, and wish you all a very great night. Thank you all for this very short abbreviated meeting. Oh, we'll go back to Vice Mayor Heilman. One more closing comment.
I also attended the League of California Cities conference and got to hear our mayor speak, and she did a great job representing us. And I also attended the AIDS Walk.
Thank
and
you.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, we are really done this time. Thank you all so much. We'll adjourn the meeting to November 3rd at 6 p.m. West Hollywood Council Chambers. We'll see you then.